We have also prepared a lot of demonstration before and after lunch. And for this now, I will give a floor for the next presentation. It's our own Minister of Agriculture, Urmas Kruuse. This presentation is pre-recorded.
Tere ilusat päeva, head konverentsist osavõtjad. Minu nimi on Urmas Kruuse, olen Eesti maaeluminister. Mul on teid hea meel tervitada, kuigi hinges on ka väike kurbuse noot, sellepärast et kahjuks ei ole meil võimalik iga kord kokku saada nii, nagu me oleme tavaliselt harjunud, sest COVID-viirus on teinud ka korrektuure meie kokkusaamistesse. Aga kindlasti ei ole see vähendanud indu selles osas, et vahetada kogemusi, õppida teineteiselt ja ehitada üles paremat elukeskkonda. Eesti kord on seekord korraldada ja meil üks laulusalm küsib niimoodi, et mis maa see on, see Eesti maa. Ja tuleb tunnistada, et see on üks väike maa siin Läänemere kaldal, kus elab kõigest umbes 1,3 miljonit inimest. Ja me oleme õnnelik rahvas selles osas, et meil on oma ülikoolid, meil on oma keel, meil on oma kultuur. Me oleme suutnud sellises globaalses mõjuvõimus ikkagi jääda ellu. Ja kui meenutada ka 50 aastat meie
We have a slight technical problem here, but for now we have an agenda that I should really ask Maid to share her presentation now about overview of BovINE. Is it okay to share you, Maid?
So, good morning, everybody, and I'll just share my screen now just to give you an overview of BovINE. Some of you are already familiar with BovINE as a result of having attended our previous transnational meeting, and some of you would be less familiar with it. This might be your first event, but hopefully you'll have all be familiar with our website and with our BovINE Knowledge Hub, or maybe you'll have attended some of our national meetings in your own member states as well. So just, I suppose, to set the context as to where BovINE came from, it was a project that was started, sorry now, just trying to get this into the right. Okay, so it was a project that was started, actually prepared for a number of years ago, and it was very much based on understanding the challenges facing the European sector. But in that regard, it wasn't about thinking about what has research already done. It's about appreciating the role of demand-driven innovation and recognizing the need to ask farmers themselves about their needs, but equally recognizing the potential source of solutions from multiple sources and the role of multiple actors in defining the needs and indeed in providing the solutions to them. So we had a workshop in Ireland a number of years ago where we asked key stakeholders to determine the priority needs of beef farmers, and then based on pre-existing relationships with actors in the beef sector across Europe, we confirmed the relevance of those priorities across Europe, and that's what led to the BovINE project being submitted for EU funding and receiving funding. So ultimately, BovINE is a network, but it's a bit more than a network. It's what I call a transnational innovation ecosystem. And it's all about bringing different sources of knowledge together to define problems and challenges and to develop solutions. So it's a network with a very targeted purpose and a very strong focus on knowledge sharing and knowledge exchange, with the aim of boosting sustainability of the European beef producing sectors. Now, sustainability, as you know, is a term that's used quite broadly, and what we define it in terms of bovine is focusing on 4 thematic areas: that's socioeconomic resilience, animal health and welfare, production efficiency and meat quality, and environmental sustainability. And as I said, bovine is not a research project. It is very much focused on knowledge exchange, but it sees farmers as the core of what we do. And the idea is that a farmer in one country identifies a problem. So this farmer says, I'm a beef farmer in Ireland, I have a problem. And he asks, have you ever dealt with this problem? We go out and we find solutions from 2 potential sources. Here we have an example of a research scientist in Germany who says, I am aware of that problem. This is what we have come up with from a research perspective. But also there could be a farmer in another country, like this woman in Spain, who says, I have that problem too, and this is what I do. So there are various sources of sources of solutions to the problems that farmers have in different countries, and they're available from research institutions and universities, from other farmers and across Europe. And that's the basic idea that's behind bovine. In terms of, I suppose, basic statistics, there are 18 partners across 9 countries. We're aiming to reach the 255,000 beef farmers across Europe. We've been given 2 million from the European Commission to do this, to develop this network over the 3-year period. And the project fortunately kicked off in a face-to-face meeting in January 2020 in Ireland. So these are the people you see in the photograph there, the main people who've been involved in the project from the start, and the member states that are involved are listed there on the left. So we have an annual cycle. We start off by identifying beef farmers' grassroots needs, by looking for solutions that address those needs, and finding them in terms of good practices or research innovations. The research innovations haven't been tested on commercial farms. So for the research innovations, we try to bring some of those into demonstration, ideally on commercial farms. And we also do some cost benefit analysis on the research innovations as well, to, I suppose, to challenge them in terms of feasibility for implementation on farm. And that's an annual process that's followed through. So we're in our 2nd year of that annual process at the moment. So in terms of our grassroots needs that we identified in 2020, we identified 2 priority topics for each of our 4 thematic areas, resulting in 8 priority topics overall. And then we went to find research innovations and good practices on each of those. And they were reported on in our last transnational meeting. Demonstrations on some of those were held in 2021. And this is a list of some of the demonstrations that were held for socioeconomic resilience and animal health and welfare. And you'll be hearing the results of some of those later on this morning. And we have a number of demonstrations done on production efficiency and meat quality and environmental sustainability. And again, you'll be hearing information on some of those later on this morning as well. But information on the good practices and research innovations, and then on the demonstrations that have been conducted, all of that information will be available on the Bovine Knowledge Hub. So our priority topics for 2021 were identified at the end of 2020. And we again selected 2 priority topics for each of our thematic areas. And you'll see a list of them here. So for socioeconomic resilience, one of the priority topics was to identify initiatives to improve beef image and to break from the current trend of consumption decline, and examining economically efficient housing systems for beef cattle. We're focused on labour saving tools and communicating high animal welfare standards in the animal health and welfare. And management, housing and environmental factors were focused on as well. Animal feeding and the impact of stress on meat quality was looked at for the production efficiency and meat quality, and optimising the number of calves per cow per year in suckler herds was the other topic. Environmental sustainability, we focused on reward schemes for beef farmers and carbon sequestration. So these are where you will find all the information on of these is on our website. We also have social media channels that you will see there, but I would also encourage you to sign up for our e-news. There's an email address there, bovine@minervacoms.net, and also to join our knowledge hub. And that's where you will really get access to all of the information that's been collected so far. And I would encourage you to comment on the information that's been collected as well. There is an opportunity to do that on the BovINE Knowledge Hub. So to add your experience and your knowledge to the solutions that we have found to the identified farmers' needs. So again, just as I say, the information is there on the Knowledge Hub. Some of it is available in text form, but there is a lot of audio-visual content, videos, animations as well to help to, I suppose, capture the knowledge in a variety of formats that are suitable for farmers and other end users. So I'd like to thank you very much for your attention. And now we're going to move, I'm going to hand you over back to Ari if that technical issue has been resolved. And if not, I'm going to hand you on to Mite in Tia.
Yes, I hope the technical issues are resolved and you could hear, because it's it sounds okay with, but now the slides should be shared from us. Is everything okay? Yes. Now it should be Maite's turn to, we are sharing the screen.
Okay. Thank you, Ailey, and good morning to everybody. I'm Maite Aguilar from India, and it's a pleasure to be here today in this transnational event with people from many different countries sharing their experiences. Following sessions are related to exchange of information from demonstrations, good practices, and research innovations across the project for thematic areas. As been said, you can write your questions and comments in the chat, and after each presentation, we will have some time for only 1 or 2 questions, and after all the presentation of each session, we will use Mentimeter to more interactions with the speaker. Any written comment in the chat and in the Mentimeter, please do it in English. To translate your questions and comments, you can use, for example, depl.com, and you can find the address, the website address, now writing in the chat. And okay, so let us start with fun demonstrations of selected project innovations. So please, next slide. Yeah, thank you. So the first one is environmental sustainability demo presented by Ms. Karen Housens from ILBO. Karen, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you, Maite. If possible, I would like to share my screen because I made some changes and I tried to incorporate the video of the demonstration in the slides. So is it possible that I share my screen myself?
Yes, Karen, you can share. Lina, you can stop.
Okay. I'll try to share my screen. So can you see my my screen now?
Yes, Karen, we
Okay.
can see demonstration VP6.
Thank you. So my name is Karen Housens. Together with my colleague Rita Smet, we are in the lead of Work Package 6 on environmental sustainability. And the first demonstration of today I would like to share with you is a demonstration on the topic strategies to reduce enteric methane emission from beef cattle. So the innovation shown in this demonstration is the use of a fat-rich feed ingredient such as linseed to reduce the enteric emissions. And the participants in this demo were my colleague Reet, Elisabeth and Anne, 2 nutritionists from the Arvesta Feed Company, and most important, Ines Teunis, a Belgian beef cattle farmer. So the challenge we addressed in this demonstration was the reduction of enteric methane produced in the rumen by the methanogenic archaea. As methane is a very strong greenhouse gas and each cow produces about 200 to 500 grams of methane a day, The reduction of methane emission can help to lower the carbon footprint of beef cattle production. A lot of different feeding strategies were identified with potential to reduce enteric emissions. For example, additives such as chemical additives, synthetic additives, or essential oils, but also feed ingredients such as linseed. The Euroclim feed from the company Arvesta is a concentrate feed for beef cattle that contains extruded linseed. And beside the feed is also GMO-free. It only contains EU ingredients, so no import soy from South America, for example. And it is also rich in omega-3, which is beneficial for the meat quality. We did a demonstration on the Finesse farm from Ines Teunis. The farm is located in the east of Brussels, so the Flemish part of Belgium. And Ines is a young farmer, but also an agricultural engineer, and she runs the farm together with her sister, mother, and uncle. She has a suckler cow farm with about 200 Belgian blue suckler cows. The bulls are slaughtered or young at a young age, 8 months for veal production, or at 18 months for beef production. Cows are usually slaughtered after 3 calvings, and the meat is sold to local butchers or at the own farm shop. Ines was intending to participate to this meeting today, but unfortunately she can only attend in the afternoon because she had another meeting before. So hopefully you can meet her this afternoon. And I will now try to share the video we made from this demonstration with you. I hope the sound will be okay, and if not, the video has subtitles in English, so I hope you can all follow the demonstration.
En dat is gestoeld op 3 concepten. Dus ten eerste wordt er alleen gewerkt met Europese grondstoffen die ook GMO-vrij zijn. Daarnaast streven we naar een feed-food verhouding van minstens 80/20, wat dus wil zeggen dat 80% van al het voeder dat de dieren eten eigenlijk niet consumeerbaar is voor de mens en dat we op die manier reststromen kunnen opwaarderen. En ten derde werken we met geëxtrudeerd lijnzaad, wat dan een effect heeft op de methaanproductie van de koeien. Lijnzaad bevat veel onverzadigde vetten en deze hebben ook een effect op de methaanproductie van de koe. Enerzijds omdat ze de methaanproducerende bacteriën in de pens remmen en daarnaast worden ook een deel van die onverzadigde vetten omgezet in verzadigde vetten in de pens en daarvoor zijn waterstofatomen nodig. En zoals daarnet uitgelegd zorgt dit ervoor dat er minder waterstofatomen beschikbaar zijn voor de productie van methaan. Daarnaast is de kroketachtige structuur van geëxtrudeerd lijnzaad, bestaat dat ook deels uit zetmeel. En dat zorgt voor de productie van meer propionzuur in de pens, waar opnieuw waterstofatomen voor nodig zijn die dan niet beschikbaar zijn voor de productie van methaan. En als laatste bevat vol lijnzaad ook veel omega-3 vetzuren en deze zien we ook terug in het vlees van de koeien en op die manier hebben we ook een betere vleeskwaliteit.
Hoe hebben we de omschakeling naar Euroclim hier op het bedrijf van Ines Teunis toegepast? We hebben eigenlijk het basis- en de ruwvoeders behouden, zijnde maïs en perspulp. Maar in het krachtvoeder zijn we gegaan van een krachtvoeder uit het conventionele gamma naar een krachtvoeder volgens het Euroclim-concept. De afmest hier bij de koeien bestaat uit 3 fases. Een eerste fase is de voormest, een beginfase. Dat zien we als een aanpassingsfase voor de koeien. Het rantsoen bestaat dan eigenlijk uit 50% ruwvoeder en 50% krachtvoeder. Op die manier kan de pens eigenlijk rustig beginnen te wennen aan het krachtvoeder. De tweede fase, de eigenlijke afmest, wordt intenser. Dan neemt het aandeel krachtvoeder toe tot 65% en worden de dieren dus ook op een intensiever rantsoen gevoerd. En de laatste maand, de eindfase, is eigenlijk een rantsoen waar we nog intensiever gaan, nog meer op de afwerking gaan focussen. Gaan we naar 75% krachtvoederaandeel in die rantsoenen. En dat is de eindfase. De koeien staan hier ongeveer 4 à 5 maanden op een afmestrantsoen voor ze het bedrijf verlaten. Als we kijken naar de oorsprong van de grondstoffen, bekijken we eigenlijk de CO2-balans van het voeder. Zo heeft elke grondstof een waarde en op die manier kan je eigenlijk op basis van de samenstelling van het voeder een CO2-balans weergeven per voeder. Op basis van de kilograms droge stof die het dier opneemt, zien we dan ook wat de invloed is van haar voeding op die CO2-voetafdruk. Zo hebben bijvoorbeeld Braziliaanse sojabonen een CO2-voetafdruk die 8 keer hoger is dan Europese sojabonen. Dus op die manier kijken we eigenlijk na welke grondstoffen interessant zijn, Europese grondstoffen, om bij te dragen aan een verlaging van de CO2-voetafdruk. Wanneer we de invloed van Euroclim bekijken op het verlagen van de methaanemissie, hebben we dat ook op dit bedrijf bekeken. En zien we eigenlijk dat tijdens de ganse levensduur dat er een verlaging is van 3% van de CO2-voetafdruk door het gebruik van geëxtrudeerd lijnzaad tijdens de afmestfase hier. En bekijken we naar de invloed op de afmestfase alleen, dan behalen we een reductie op de CO2-voetafdruk van 19%.
Hallo, ik ben Ines, de boerin van Boerderij Fines. Boerderij Fines is een vleesveebedrijf met voornamelijk Belgisch wit-blauw runderen. Naast onze vleesveetak hebben wij ook nog een akkerbouwtak, waar dat wij voornamelijk onze ruwvoeders voor de runderen telen. Zo hebben wij onder andere maïs, gras, suikerbieten en gerst en tarwe bijvoorbeeld. Op ons bedrijf fokken wij, dus wij hebben onze eigen kalfjes. Die we dan uiteindelijk voortdurend op het bedrijf houden en dan afmesten. De koeien mesten we af op een leeftijd van ongeveer 5-6 jaar en de stieren mesten we af als kalfsvlees op 8 maanden ofwel op 18 maanden. Dus wij gebruiken op het bedrijf het Euroclim-voeder omdat ik het belangrijk vind dat, ook al is het maar met een klein hulpmiddeltje, dat je wel een positieve invloed kunt hebben op op de ecologische voetafdruk. Door met het Belgisch witblauwras te werken produceert je eigenlijk al een duurzamer stukje vlees, omdat zij heel veel vlees produceren ten opzichte van het voeder dat zij opnemen. En daar kunnen we dan nog een extra verbetering aan toevoegen door enkel te werken met de Europese grondstoffen en de methaanreductie die ontstaat door het Euroclim-voeder. Het is natuurlijk ook belangrijk dat de maatregelen die toegepast worden, dat het uiteindelijk wel zo is dat dat economisch verantwoord is. En daarnaast dan ook wel een groot effect geeft ten opzichte van de input dat je er als landbouwer zelf moet ingeven. Door gebruik te maken van het krachtvoeder, van het Euroclim-gamma, zijn mijn koeien nog altijd in de afmestfase perfect qua groei, zitten ze op de goede lijn. Geven ze uiteindelijk nog altijd een heel mooi gekleurd stukje vlees. Hun karkasgewichten liggen ook op dezelfde lijn als voordien. Dus daar is zeker niet op ingeboet. Alles behalve de afnemers. Ik werk met slagers, die zijn ook zeer tevreden over het Euroclim-voeder. Dus op zich, op het einde van de rit, qua product wordt er niet echt iets veranderd. Maar tijdens de rit wordt er wel een serieuze reductie gerealiseerd voor de emissies, wat dan uiteindelijk ook wel iets moois is te vertellen via Boerderij Fines. Want Boerderij Fines, daar vertellen wij over het landbouwleven en over het trailen en zeilen hier op het bedrijf. En via Fines verkopen wij ook ons eigen vlees. Dus wij leveren voornamelijk aan slagers en een ander deel, kleiner deel, verkopen wij ook hier op het bedrijf ons eigen vlees. Omdat ik wel van het standpunt ben van de mensen moeten leren van lokale producten te appreciëren en dan ook te genieten van de producten die de landbouwers in de streek allemaal kunnen aanbieden aan hun. De vleesveesector is wel moeilijk om daar oplossingen te vinden voor de ecologische voetafdruk te verlagen. Maar volgens mij is het ook zeer belangrijk dat we niet enkel kijken naar de koe, maar ook alles wat de koe opneemt. En zowel met de variëteiten van bijvoorbeeld de maïs als het water dat gebruikt wordt, overal op die verschillende factoren ervoor gaan zorgen dat dat uiteindelijk geoptimaliseerd wordt, waardoor dat uw koe, die uiteindelijk op het einde van de rit het vlees gaat geven, heel duurzaam vlees kan geven en dat dat verantwoord vlees is ook.
So I hope you enjoyed this video, this demonstration, and you also got a nice impression of beef cattle farming in Belgium with the Belgian blue breed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. Jan, are there any questions in the chat related to this?
No.
Maybe we could start, there's a technical issue, I think, with the Italian interpreter. Maybe we might just resolve that before we go on. Maybe the two Italian interpreters could contact Hannah. I think there seems to be some confusion there.
Okay.
Yeah, only remember that farmers do not receive any financial incentive to participate in these demonstrations, and that BovINE does not have any commercial interests.
Okay, thank you, Jan. And so we can move to next demo presentation. Can we see the presentation again, please? Okay, thank you. And next presentation is socioeconomic resilience demo. It's presented by Magda Aguiar Fontes from the University of Lisbon. Magda, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Maite, and good morning to you all. Can I share my screen, please? And I think I cannot be allowed to start my video. So good morning to you all. It is a pleasure to be here and talk about the demonstration that we have undertaken in Portugal. This demo is included in the socioeconomic resilience thematic area and is on future and forward contracts, risk management tool. It is not my area of expertise, but I'll do my best. So we will give some feedback on how did it go in Portugal, main features of such a risk tool, and its major benefits and drawbacks. Within this last year, we undertook about 6 demos in Portugal, and the one on future and forward contracts took place on the 16th of July, and unfortunately it was online as the meeting we are having today. We had the possibility of listening to 2 very interesting presentations, one from Professor Pedro Vieira from the School of Economics and Management of the University of Lisbon, the same university where my faculty of veterinary medicine belongs to, and also from Tomás Machado, at the moment working with us at BovINE, and is doing his master thesis on future and forward contracts. These demos are normally organized by both Portuguese partners, FMV, my faculty, and the producers' organizations that we asked to be part of this BovINE project in Portugal. These 2 presentations were really interesting and got the attention of the attendees. So, as I said, it took place in July due to COVID restrictions online, and it had about 40 attendees. And the main purpose of this demo was to make Portuguese farmers aware of this risk management tool. I think that we may say that the main result obtained was the fruitful discussion that arose, as well as the positive reaction from the participants. We perhaps can say that the most amazing thing about future and forward contracts is that today we actually know the future prices of cattle. More than that, we can fix the buying or selling prices. For example, today we can agree to sell our cattle in April 22 of about $138.4. And I should make or call for your attention that we should please keep in mind that this is about managing risk. It is not beating the market by bargaining more favorable prices. Managing risk is in fact about transforming a complex and random reality in something known and deterministic. It is not about avoiding losses. It is about avoiding surprises in the prices. In the chart, which represents a possible set of surprises in the price and respective probabilities of occurrence, we want the most extreme results, like these ones, to be as close as possible or to be the same. Therefore, we want a new Gauss curve A, like the one shown in green, with the two most extreme results to be as close as possible or, in fact, to be the same. And we probably may say that we want to manage the risk to avoid an outcome that is different from what was expected. In a sector that is highly characterized by a huge degree of risk and uncertainty, these might make a difference. So, what we mean by forward contracts? We may say in simple terms that these are contracts where two parties at a given moment in time agree to do something at a future moment. And these parties establish three main things: the identity and quantity of the item to be negotiated, what to do when the contract reaches the end, and the price at which the transaction will occur at a future point in time. On the other hand, a future contract is a standardized contract created and traded on a stock market in which two parties agree that one party, the buyer, will buy the underlying asset at a later date at a price predetermined by both parties. And the daily recognition of gains and losses, and also the existence of a clearing house, make this product more safe in terms of default risk. Let us try to make this a bit more clear with an example. And let us say that an investor gets in as a buyer in a contract to buy 20 heads of cattle in February 2022 at a price of $126.5. And this will imply a total cost of $2,530. If this contract can take the form of a forward contract, let us say that the spot price in October is $130. Hence, on the day of the transaction, he buys 20 heads at $130, that is, at a total cost of $2,600. But as he has this contract, he will get from the counterpart the difference from the total cost in October and the total cost signed in the contract. That is to say, in this example, a difference of $70. Now let us say that the contract takes the form of a future contract. Now the daily change in the difference between the spot price and the agreed price is transferred on a daily basis, hence lowering the risk. Here, we just have a table with more technical details, which I should say that to be totally clarified, we would need the experts to join in and explain a bit more in detail. But from here, what I want to highlight is that these are contracts with less risk involved, as there are daily basis transfers, and also should be highlighted the fact that these contracts also require some financial expenses, as there is the need to pay for the services of the broker. And as I have told you before, Tomas, working with us at BovINE, is doing his master thesis on this theme. And so far from his literature review, we can say that main benefits linked to these contracts can mainly be the possibility of protect production from risks associated with market price volatility. It might allow also for some reallocation of risk associated with production, and also an improvement in production planning based on the behavior of future markets. It also has the benefit of an arbitrary negotiations on contract terms, mainly associated to forward contracts, and also the possibility of managing economic losses with greater criteria in critical times. On the other hand, it has some main obstacles, and among some we can mention the need to find a partner or a financial institution that mediates these type of contracts, and also sometimes the lack of time and the means to follow the future markets, and also some difficulty in understanding the charts or assessing information describing the reality of the markets. At last, but not the least, there might not be enough production scale to justify the application of future contracts. So, from the feature presented, and also mentioning that this is already a reality among producers and among different type of commodities, there is in fact a potential to use this type of contracts, but perhaps we can say that contracting futures can be like insuring our car. If we have an accident, the insurance covers the cost. But if we do not have an accident, we don't consider the insurance price as wasted money. And to conclude, I just like to give a quick look at how was the reaction of those attending this demo in Portugal last July. So the main aspects of this research innovation that seen as beneficial to beef farmers were mainly the strong regulation and organization of the market, making the risk of default by the counterpart negligible. And it was also considered to be a type of contract very effective and safe in risk management. On the other hand, in terms of main obstacles predicted with the implementation of this research innovation in Portugal, it was mentioned the need to find an experienced financial intermediary to help operationalize this type of hedging instrument, and also the need to provide training to farmers so that they understand the specificities of this type of contracts and know how to access information about these products and markets. In terms of perceived additional costs or savings, this is a risk management tool that will fix a given price, as when compared with the spot price at the date of the deal, farmers may pay or may receive less or more than the current market price. And also there is the cost of managing these contracts. And if we ask if this was a tool recommended by attendees, well, we can say that there was a positive reaction of most participants. There seems to be a willingness to recommend this risk management tool, but there was also some concern shown related to the mediation of these contracts by financial institutions. So this is all for now. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Magda. John, are there any questions?
No, there are not any questions.
Okay, so then we can continue with next presentation, please. Can we see the presentation? Okay, thank you. Yes, next is Animal Health and Welfare demo presented by Mr. Frank Duterte. Frank, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Now, I want to present our demonstration here in Germany. It is named infrared thermography for diagnosis of lameness, and lameness is a very important theme in beef cattle, and so that was our second topic in the first year. The next slide, please. Okay, lameness can reduce productivity and profitability of in beef production, and there are several studies which have suggested that the measurement of temperature is useful for detecting lameness. It is there is a non-invasive technology, so you have no stress reaction if you imaging hooves, and you can detect subclinical signs and inflammation before this disease become evident. So the question of this demonstration was, how useful was this technology for beef cattle? Thank you. The next, yes. I want to refer to other projects which deals with thermography. So there is one in Belgium, Klaargezondheid, that is a project where they deal with health, hoof care and claw lesions in dairy, but also in beef cattle. And they want to use thermal camera to develop an algorithm for interpreting the images, because you have only colors, and so this algorithm could help to give you an exact temperature. And there's also a project in Finland of the Savonia University, and they also use thermography for dairy health. For instance, to improve the tools for farmers, veterinarians, hoof trimmers, and they want to detect milk fever. Okay, the next slide, please. So what we have done in Germany, we visited, what I see is the video is not running. Okay, that's not so good. Okay, thank you, thank you. This is a video which we made on one farm in Germany, and I want that you have a look at the calves where claws are with higher color, so you can select calves if there is a sign or yes for inflammation. So what we have done, we used a professional camera that you see on the right-hand side. Yes, Karin was filming there one calf that was separated, and below that you see one photo which we made with our camera, but the farmer has an own system that you can see here, that is a device for a mobile phone, And we also take some photos with the small mobile phone. And altogether, you have similar results. Yes, that was surprising to us. Okay, and then we had a second farm that is a photo of the middle. And there is the problem that the farmer could see, have not a free view to the hooves because there is a problem of the installations. Okay, thank you. The next slide, please. Yes, our results were that the infrared thermography is a useful tool to diagnose lameness and to clarify suspicious cases. And one problem is that you must have a short distance to the animal. It is recommended to have a minimum of 2 meters distance to the animal, and the animal should stand on a flat floor, not on straw, that you have a free view to the hooves. And yes, maybe that you can use a fixation system. And it is also recommended that you use the second leg as a comparative object, that you can compare both hooves, as you see in the picture. Okay, the next slide, please. Was very interesting. The Belgian partner, Ilvo, also produced a video demonstration. And I think that will also shown in the break. And here on farm, hoof trimmer reported that they use the thermal imaging for detecting problems during hoof trimming, and how they is it to decide how deep they cut the claw. And yes, they want to develop the app. Thank you. The last slide. Yes, the last slide, please. It was very surprising to us, but the thermal camera is a universal tool for farmers, and our German farmer gives us some hints. He used his smartphone tool to check the post-heating of silage, for instance, and like shown here, he also checks the filling level of his biogas plant. And secondly, we posted a research innovation that thermal camera also can be used for detection of respiration rates. And at least we want to refer to the fact sheet of the Savonia University for detecting of milk fever. Okay, thank you very much. If there are questions, please do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ram. I think there are some questions in the chat.
Cornel asks, which camera did you use for this? I think that for filming the bulls, and how much does it cost? Also,
okay. Professional cameras are very expensive. I think the costs about 10,000 euro. Okay. But if you use, can you go back to the mobile device? Yes, this is a version that have cost about 400 euro. Yes.
Okay. And
yes,
also,
this one. Yes.
Also, they ask which application was used. If you could name it.
We use both. Yes. In this demonstration to compare the results. And the farmer used it as reported for his biogas plant and for the silage too. Yeah.
Okay, and to finish, he also asked at what temperature could you conclude that there is an inflammation?
I don't understand.
Yeah. At what temperature could you conclude that there is an inflammation?
The temperature measurement we didn't because we compared both hooves. And if you see that one is of higher temperature, then it is recommended to make a detailed investigation. Yes, that you have a detailed look to the animal. It is what we done is to get an overview. Yes, is there a problem? And if you have a look at the picture at the right-hand side, so he lifted his leg. You see that? Yes, and this is one indicator, and with the camera you have a second indicator that there is a problem. Yeah.
Okay, and there is a new question. Did you find the mobile camera as accurate as the expensive standalone device?
No. The camera, yes, we use it. It is sometimes a problem that the animal turns around and is walking, but you can make your pictures. It's no problem in such a situation. Well.
Okay, thank you, Frank.
Okay.
As better we continue with next presentation, there will be then afterwards a Mentimeter, and we can continue with those discussions.
Okay.
I also recommend you to please use the chat now, raise your hands to comment, to make your comments. Thank you. Next presentation is production efficiency and quality demo presented by Jose Pais and Marcin Dalenzik. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Good morning, everyone. Can you please put the PowerPoint presentation? Okay. This demonstration was taken this year on as an objective for BovINE, and is entitled as Automated Individual Data for Feed Efficiency Improvement in Beef Cattle. Well, this demo is related with two thematic areas that Maeve mentioned before in her presentation. It's related with production efficiency and environmental sustainability. Next slide, please. Well, I will start the presentation with a small video, and but first, this presentation was taken in our performance testing center for Martelinga breed at Corrais e Malhas farm in Évora on the 21st of May of this year. Well, we are going to see a 1.5 minute video, I think. That is a small part of the full video that is available in the BovINE YouTube channel in the link below. So I'll ask, I don't know, is Mate or I to click on the picture, not in the link, please. No, please, in the picture, okay. Yeah, there. Well. if, well, the link is for our YouTube channel to see the small video. I think it doesn't work, but anyway, if it doesn't work, we can move on to the next slide, please.
One moment. I think you should have somebody sharing the video.
Okay. Well, this video has, well, yeah, we are now seeing the video. Okay. Well, let's see it, and then I'll go on.
O que é a ingestão alimentar residual? Em termos simples, é isto. Se eu tenho dois animais que pesam o mesmo e que ganham o mesmo peso, será que eles têm a mesma eficiência? Que eles consomem exatamente o mesmo alimento? A mesma quantidade de alimento? Este equipamento que vocês aqui estão a ver, estão os comedores estão assentes em balanças, portanto vêm aqui os pés onde os comedores inclusivamente podem bascular, estão assentes em balança e aqui podem ver nestes quadros o peso que está dentro do comedor. Os comedores têm um sensor, como vêem todos os animais têm uma coleira com um transponder. Portanto, quando o animal coloca a cabeça no comedor, imediatamente é lido qual o animal, identifica o animal que começa a consumir alimento. Portanto, o animal consome o alimento, quando sai, é lido que ele deixou o alimento e o computador registra quanto é que ele consumiu. Portanto, isto permite-nos ter uma medição rigorosa do que o animal consumiu.
Okay, let's get back to the presentation, please. The second slide, please. The previous one. Okay, as you see, this is a small part of the full video, and I really recommend everyone interested in this subject to see the entire video in our YouTube BovINE channel. Next slide, please. Well, these are some images of our performance test center. We have 9 individual troughs from Brick Oco Farm, a Dutch company, in 3 cattle pens. Each trough has a scale, as you saw in the video, and the total daily feed intake, and they control the total daily feed intake for each animal. At the moment, we are working with Aberdeen Angus Portugal and the Limousin Breeders Association in Portugal, and these 3 breeds, cattle breeds, are using this equipment. Next slide, please. Well, each trough are filled daily with total mixed ration with Unifeed. Animals have electronic identification with a collar, and each animal is weighed every 3 weeks during the performance test. The data that we can get is used to calculate the residual feed intake, and the last sentence there, residual feed intake identifies more efficient animals. We are going to see how. On the bottom right, you can see an example of the output data that we have from the software that control the system. Next slide, please. Well, now the important question about this demonstration. What does residual feed intake mean? Well, if you have 2 similar animals, as that image on the right is trying to explain, you have there 2 similar heifers from a Flanger breed, and if we have 2 similar animals with the same average daily gain, the same age and the same weight, the research shown us that they have different residual feed intake. And what does this mean? This means that more efficient animal eat less than others not so efficient. So when we are selecting animals for this trait, we look for animals with negative values for RFE. What are the impacts for most efficient animals for residual feed intake? Well, it has high economic values for the farmer, because animals that eat less and produce the same as others, it means less costs and more money for the farmer. And research also shown us that animals with better feed intake, more efficient animals, also have lower emissions of methane. Next slide, please. Okay, this is a graphic with the data from our first performance testing center. Sorry, for our performance test with the first group of Bertlinga young bulls. This graph has three kind of data. The orange line is for average daily gain. I'm sorry, but the graphic is in Portuguese. I wasn't able to change the legend, but you can see the orange line is for average daily gain, and the purple line with dots is for feed conversion ratio, and the blue columns is for residual feed intake. On the bottom of the graphic, you have each animal with the number of color, and please press enter. Okay, and we can see here in this graphic, we can understand that there is no connection, no correlation between RFE, residual feed intake, and feed conversion ratio. And why are we talking about this? Because feed conversion ratio was the first measure used to calculate and to estimate and to know about feed efficiency. And you can see here that we have in the first green box, we have the animals number 7, 1, 14, and 13. They have high residual feed intake because the columns are above the 0 line, and also high feed conversion ratio. Next, enter, please. And here you can see other animals that are different from the first I mentioned. They have good feed conversion ratio, but they have positive residual feed intake. And next, please, next, enter. And here we have the opposite. Animals with good feed efficiency, with the blue column below 0, and high feed conversion ratio. So I would like to ask at the present, if with this information, what would be the interesting animals to select for both indexes, for feed conversion ratio and feed intake? Anyone wants to answer? Probably not. Of course, the animals interesting to select are the ones between the boxes on the left, because those animals have good feed efficiency, blue columns below 0, and good feed conversion ratio. Okay, next slide, please.
Okay, we have and try to finish up in 2 minutes, please.
Okay, I think I have one more slide only. 3 lessons to learn about this demonstration. The difference between feed intake values between animals can be greater than it was expected. A young bull with good average daily gain may not be the most efficient. And this difference in feed efficiency values can be important factor in production costs and environmental impact. Well, please visit our knowledge hub, and now I pass the floor to Martin.
Marcin, I don't know if you are there. Okay. If not, we can't. Definitely, there are some questions in the chat. I think that maybe we can't. If Marcin is not, if Marcin, no, we can move to the Mentimeter then. Okay. So I would like my colleague Isabel to please share her screen. Marcin is there. So we can a bit over time, so we can continue discussions here. Okay, so you can please search Menti.com in your mobiles, tablets, or computers and enter the code you see there. So here the first slide is where are you from? If you would like to indicate that, and we can give some time to people to join us. Encourage you to join the Mentimeter. Ireland, Spain, Italy, Germany, Portugal, Estonia, France. Could just write again the code. I think you write the code again in the chat. Okay, we can move to the next. Isabel, please. Is which type of actor are you? You'd like to answer? Thank you. Provide some time also to people to connect. Researchers, firms, advisors. Okay. We can continue, Sarah. Next slide, please. So, exchange of information of demonstrations. Next slide, please, Isabel. The first question is, do you think you could apply these innovations, these 4 innovations you've seen in your context? Yes, easily, yes. Adapting something seems just to explore more or not really? I think yes, adapting some things, want to explore more. You have the BovINE Knowledge Hub. Okay. Okay, thank you. We can move to the next slide, please, Isabel. Is what you find most interesting from these demonstrations. You can here really write your comments in English, please. You can also write any comment related to the presentations or any questions to the speakers. The speakers, if you want to, please turn on your cameras, and if you see or read any comment addressed to you, you can really feel free to speak. This is screen. Experience from the farmer. Modified return from farmers. They are applied in real conditions by farmers, so you see they can work. Then is detecting the infrared that demonstrations are made in real farms. How they can be easily applied on these farms, information from real farmers. Can please Isabel go down, please, so we can read more comments. Thank you. Sharing scientific knowledge, similar to use on farmers, also based on some speech. Okay. A lot of questions, videos with introductions. Sharing information, practical experience from farmers. Thermal camera. Okay, down. Experience from farmers with efficiency. Name that. Shable department. Okay. Farmer explanation. Okay. Thank you very much. We have a few minutes. Maybe we can read some comments from the chat that were done and give the opportunity to Mercy or to answer other speakers.
Yeah, there were some questions to the previous presentation. They asked how are the animals weighed. Also, they asked to explain the composition of the daily ration. I don't know if Jose can answer this question, please.
Yes, well, the animals are weighed regularly in 21 days interval during the performance test. Well, we have electronic scale that is connected by Bluetooth to the Android device, and the device connected to the scale, and we register the weight. The second question was about the feed.
Yeah, about the composition of the.
Well, the composition of the feed. We have the support of animal nutrition and the feeding company that provide us the correct formula for the feed, the ration mixed in our UniFeed, and the composition is at this time composition is corn silage and concentrate. Well, because in that performance test center farm we have center pivot to irrigate crops and to produce food for the animals, and at this time we have corn silage, and of course the concentrate is to complete the nutritional profile that we want for the animals.
Thank you for that. Other questions?
Yeah, well, if there is time, there is another question. They ask how many animals can one feeder feed per day?
Well, it depends on the age, the animals, and how much they eat per day. But between 4 and 6 animals for Murtlanga cattle breed. For instance, with other breeds that we are working between 4 or 5 animals each unit.
Okay, thank you, Jose. Now, I think we can continue. Thank you all for participating in Mentimeter. You can keep it open as we will still be using it in next sessions. Thanks to all the speakers, and let's continue with next session of exchange of good practice and research innovations, in this case related to environmental sustainability. Can we see the presentation, please? Can we see the presentation, please, of next session? I don't know if there are any problems. Okay, now, thank you very much. So, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, first is the environmental sustainability good practice presented by Paolo Regino and Kevin Kinsella. The first one is presented by Paolo. Next slide, please. He's the network manager of Spain, and he's here. So, Paolo, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Maite. Good morning, everybody. I will now present the payment for sustainable farm system and our region, Navarra, in Spain. This good practice is into our environmental sustainability area, a topic rewards schemes for big farmers meeting environmental deliverables. The Rural Development Program of Navarra 2014-2020 includes measures that promote sustainable livestock, means on grazing and extensification. This aid is grazing and extensification to farms in Navarra which base their livestock feed on the use of forest areas by grazing. This agri-environmental measure is based on the application of premiums per hectare to compensate for the increase in cost and provide an incentive for livestock farmers to introduce the variable of environmental sustainability into their management models by means of extensive grazing. The basic objective is to maintain sustainable livestock production that contributes to the respect and conservation of biological diversity in pastures. This good practice implemented a farm where cattle graze in extensive land. The cattle breeds eligible to this aid are autochthonous and or endangered breeds. These are farms where a large part of the feed comes from natural grazing resources, and in winter they are supplementing mainly with their own fodder. The most important outcome benefits is to receive an income support for feed cattle farmers who manage their animals in more sustainable system and provide positive externalities to the environment. It seeks a balance between national, regional, public policies and the European trend. Next slide, please. In this table, you can see the numbers of farms, surface, and bovine livestock units that received this aid during the last 5 years. This program finalized in 2020, but it is currently continuing. Thank you for your attention, and you can see this good practice in the BovINE Knowledge Hub.
Thank you very much, Paola. I think there are no questions in the chat, so maybe we can continue with next good practice presented by Kevin Kinsella from Ireland. Kevin, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody, and I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, Kevin, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so if I could have the next slide, please. So I'd like to welcome everybody again to this presentation of good practice from Ireland. It's called the Teagasc Signpost program, and it is available on our BovINE Knowledge Hub, and you can check out lots more details on it if you go in and register on the BovINE Knowledge Hub. So first of all, Teagasc is the Irish Agricultural and Food Development Authority, and it's involved in research, advisory, training and education in Ireland. It's a semi-state organization, and they've introduced a new signpost program, which involves all of the stakeholders from an Irish perspective to try and drive a campaign to lead climate change by farmers in Ireland. So, as most of you are probably aware, farming and agriculture is very important in Ireland. It's one of the biggest sectors that we have, but it also accounts for a little over 1/3 of our greenhouse gas emissions. So we have lots of challenges from an agriculture and farming perspective in terms of climate change and greenhouse gas emissions, and farmers very much want to be part of the solution there as opposed to being the problem. And against that background, Teagasc have come up with a very interesting signpost program to try and lead this campaign to make farming more sustainable in terms of climate change. There's two key elements to the program. One is the Chagas are setting up about 150 to 160 demonstration farms across the country where they're going to drive this climate change at farm level and show farmers how we can move towards a more sustainable farming operations in terms of climate change. And the second element of the Signpost program then is a very intensive advisory campaign that all of the Chagas advisors will be undertaking with all of their clients and others across the country. So there's a number of key objectives to the program. The first one obviously is to move to more sustainable farming to reduce agricultural emissions, particularly to reduce ammonia emissions. And Chagas have set targets in this regard, so they're quite specific in terms of the targets that are being set here. Some of them are moving with some of the legislation that has been introduced in the Parliament in Ireland. They also have set a clear objective here of improving water quality and biodiversity. And of course, with this comes an analysis and a reduction in costs on farms, and hopefully an increase in margins and an increase in profit. So they're all interlinked in terms of economic sustainability with environmental sustainability. I could have the next slide, please. So in terms of the good practice and its focus on carbon sequestration on the farms, they want to examine and measure this on the demonstration farms. And there's two specific areas that they're going to look very closely at in terms of carbon on these demonstration farms. One is undertaking deep soil sampling and establishing a baseline on the level of carbon in the soils and monitoring this change then over a number of years. And the second thing that's very exciting in terms of how they're going to measure this carbon in terms of other areas on the farm. They're going to use carbon, what we call carbon flux towers, and they're going to try and see and analyze and measure what the carbon exchange is at the ecosystem levels on the farm in terms of the hedgerows, the forestries, and the other areas that some sequestration might be taking place. So the purpose of all this is to try and establish the data, both in terms of emissions, but also the financial data that goes with that as well. So there'll be a lot of data gathering on these demonstration farms and data analysis. Ultimately, to try and establish what the carbon data is on these farms, so that that can be taken into account then by the Environmental Protection Agency in terms of the Irish National Greenhouse Gas Inventory. So each year, the EPA or the Environmental Protection Agency would set out what the emissions and the carbon situation is in the various sectors. So in terms of the changes that we would expect to see happening on farms around this program is, we're going to see some farmers taking up more tree planting. And we also see some farmers adopting the ways and means that they would look at how they trim their hedges, and they're doing side trimming rather than cutting back their hedges very, very severely. And in an Irish context, that's quite significant because we have a low level of forestry in Ireland. It's about 11%. And we want to see that increased. And there are various incentives being put in place now to try to get farmers under the CAP ecosystems, to try to get farmers doing small amount of planting on their farm. And the second thing is we do have a very significant hedgerow in Ireland in terms of, we probably have the third largest area of hedgerows in the EU at about 450,000 hectares. So how we manage those hedgerows particularly from a biodiversity perspective, is very important. So ultimately, this good practice is about environmental sustainability. It's about examining and measuring and see where we're moving on carbon over a number of years. That's very important for farmers. And secondly, it's about reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. It's about increasing our water quality and increasing our biodiversity. So thank you very much for your attention. And again, as I said earlier, all the details in relation to this good practice is available on our BovINE Knowledge Hub. And if you click in on that, you can get the full details. And we also have some interesting videos in respect of this good practice on the BovINE Knowledge Hub. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I don't know if there are any questions in the chat.
No, there are not any questions.
So we can move on with next presentations, in this case, research innovations from environmental sustainability. Karen, Hosen.
Yes, thank you, Maite. I will share my screen if that is okay for you.
Yes, it's good. Do that, Karen.
Yes. Okay. So now you can see my screen. So the first innovation I would like to present in the work package environmental sustainability is on the topic rewarding systems for environmental deliverables. And it is an example of France in which the consumer pays for environmental good practices by the farmer. So it was presented in our technical working group by Jocelyn from IDEL, and I indicated his contact details here on the slide in case you have very specific questions. The high environmental value label, or in French, haute valeur environnementale, is the highest label of a certification for farms from the French Agriculture Ministry. So the label to the products sets it apart from other not certified products. And specific communication and promotion is made for products with this label. So by collective catering, farmers can also have access to new markets that are not accessible for products without this label. And on the 1st of January, France had more than 14,000 certified farms with this label. And this is about 2.3% of the French surface. So the high environmental value label is a mark of agroecology for all territories and all agricultural production. So it's not specific for beef production. And it certifies areas and farms that work on 4 thematic areas. First, conservation of biodiversity. Second, water resource management, fertilization management, and plant and crop protection strategies. And to be certified, a farmer needs a minimum of 10 points in each environmental compartment, so for each of these criteria. And these points are obtained by using different criteria with results objective, advantages for livestock systems, but also points of attention. And the certification is conducted on the farm by a third party, so by a certificator such as a farming advising company. So the graph here on this slide is maybe not easy to read, but it shows the exponential growth of the number of certified farms in France in the last 10 years. And this rise illustrates the commitment of a growing number of farmers in all sectors combined. So here you see the number of farms from the different sectors. For example, the wine producers are very well represented, but when we look at the animal sector, the beef producers are also very well represented. And it confirms the enthusiasm for the system and the will of farmers to take environmental measures. France had set the objective in its biodiversity plan to have 15,000 certified farms in 2022, and it seems that its objective will be reached more than 1 year in advance. Of course, there are also economic trade-offs that hold both risks and benefits for the farmers. First, there is the risk that land productivity and yield can decrease because, for example, less pesticides can be used and less manure or fertilizer can be used. On the other hand, products with this label are sold at a higher price on the market, so the consumer pays more for products with this label. Second, farmers also receive subsidies during the conversion period and an extra compensation from the COVID recovery plan. And on YouTube, you can find the witness of this French beef cattle farmer producing for the label. I don't know if there are specific questions for this part, for this innovation.
There are no questions in the chat, I think, no?
Yeah, there is one. Yeah, there is one question about the cost of certification.
I have, in fact, no idea if there is a cost. I think farmers have to register them, and I think they will pay for the cost for the certification, but I don't know how high it is. Maybe somebody from France who is more familiar with the label can answer this question. I don't know if somebody from IDEL is in the audience.
Hello, I'm Florian Prost from the MTV. I answered in the text, but maybe, yes, I work on the HVE. And yes, it has a cost about 1,000 euro for the farmer, and it's paid by the farmer, but there are some areas in France that spend a bit of money for the farmers instead.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think there are no more questions. So, Karen, you can continue with the next presentation.
Okay, then I go to the next innovation. It is on the topic carbon sequestration, and the innovation is called holistic management. Holistic management was developed by Alan Savory, and it is in fact a decision-making framework, and decisions are made by focusing on the relationship between resources, people, and financial outcomes. Holistic management does not only focus on livestock and grasslands, but it takes into account the whole ecosystem function. And carbon sequestration is one aspect of this ecosystem. So how can we describe holistic management? In fact, it is a system for rotational, high intensity, but during short period grazing. Animals do not graze more than a few days in the same area, and then this area is can be recovered for longer periods. The land is exposed to intense grazing pressure and large addition of manure and intense trampling during short periods, but after that, the grassland can recover. Of course, you need a large number of small paddocks that are grazed successively, like here in the graph is presented. So instead of having all animals access to the whole pasture, you divide the grassland into different paddocks, small paddocks, and a high number of animals is grazing on a short part or on a small part of the paddocks. And then they move around the different paddocks. Positive consequences are reduction in chemical fertilizer use, a re-evolution from intensive grassland to native multi-species pastures, and a better recycling of the soil nutrients. Savory made some controversial claims, including that holistic management can reduce atmospheric carbon dioxide levels to pre-industrial levels in a few decades. And these claims were based on the assumption that 2.5 tons of carbon can be sequestrated per hectares and per year on a surface corresponding to 1/3 of the world. And this continuously for almost 40 years. But in 2016, Nordberg published this study, and it is a critical review on holistic management. And she concluded that by improved grazing management, like holistic management, one can store on average approximately 0.35 tons of CO2, of carbon per hectare per year. So this is in fact 7 times lower than the rate that was proposed by Savory. So the claim was not entirely supported by the scientific community. And with regards to carbon sequestration, holistic management is comparable to improved grazing management, but of course better than excessive grazing with high stocking rates. This you can see here in the graph. Here we have holistic grazing, and is the carbon storage or the organic soil, the soil organic matter content in percentage in function of the depth. And we see that holistic grazing is comparable to light continuous grazing, but has higher organic matter content in the soil than heavy continuous grazing. When we look at the whole picture, holistic management has different effects on different aspects. For example, on the socio-economic resilience, there is a potentially beneficial effect for the farm profitability and net economic return. There can be an increase in both forage and animal productivity and a higher plant biomass and plant biomass quality. This was also in line what was found for production efficiency. There was an increased animal productivity and more animals per farm. Also on the animal health and welfare, there were positive signs with less calf mortality, healthier animals, and lower infectious pressure on the pastures, so fewer parasites. And in the UK, holistic management led to mitigation of the BSE impact. Then on the environmental sustainability, there is a better soil carbon return and maintenance in the soil. There was improvement of the soil health, so determined by the microbial life in the soil. There was a better adaptation to climate change and periods of drought. There was less nutrient leaching to the surface water and a better water management. So this about the innovation on holistic management. I don't know if there are any questions on this topic.
Well, there was a question in the chat that is already answered. They asked about the criteria for the certification. If it is the same in the different sectors, and Florian said that the criteria is generally the same, except for a few elements that could vary. For example, if the farm has no irrigation, there are some indicators that won't be taken into account. But also he added that there is ongoing work to change some indicators to adapt it to the ruminant sector.
Okay. So now we can move again to the Mentimeter. So thank you, Karen.
Yeah, I'll stop my screen. Thank you.
Thank you. So Isabel, please, can you share your screen again? Maybe we can indicate that the website and the code again, so people can join us. Okay, first question is, did you find the presented solution useful for your context? Yes, somehow, or no? We will use this Mentimeter in all the sessions, so you can keep it open. So you don't have to enter. So you don't have to enter again. I think that yes is useful for most of the situations, and somehow yes, that's great. Okay, we can move to the next slide, please. Sorry. So what did you find most interesting from the presented solutions? Here you can write this free text, so you can write any comment you want to. And also if you want to reflect any questions, comments to the speakers, please feel free. Also the speakers to intervene. Your findings, holistic management, evidence-based, holistic perspective of the system, holistic management, contribute strongly to sustainability of farming systems, holistic management, try to interest the holistic management. Okay, again. Getting closer to consumers, improve the sustainability. Design post program, pollution efficiency. Can go, okay, thank you, Sarah. Supported by farmers, they pay for compensated for farmers, certification systems, holistic management. You can go down, please. The clear benefits for a sustainable approach. This post program is very interesting to move farmers to reduce CO2 emissions. Okay. So I think there are no more comments. Okay, we have some few minutes. I don't know if the speakers want to go add anything. Okay, maybe for our return from Addis Advisory Service, consumer contribution. That's on the biodiversity relevant to farmers. There's possible application across all these farm types. Okay, I think there is a raised hand. It's better if you use the chat or the Menti, please, to write your comments. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. There's no more comments. And the speakers would like to add anything or just focus on farm solutions available in many places. With more than farmers involved in solutions. Okay. Are there any questions in the chat left?
Not at the moment. There are not. There are not any questions.
So there are no more interactions. I think. Well, we are a bit early for the break, but maybe a long break then. There's a raised hand there. Okay. There is a raised hand. Please write a comment in the chat, please, if it's possible. iPad, Bridget. Okay. Hi. iPad, can you write the comment in the chat, please? Maybe they can let you speak. I don't know. If we have some time. Anna?
Oui, est-ce que vous m'entendez? Est-ce que vous m'entendez? Jean-Pierre Fleury. Oui, je me présente donc. Jean-Pierre Fleury du de Copa-Cogeca. Est-ce que vous m'entendez bien?
Yes, we can hear you.
Quelques remarques. Est-ce que vous m'entendez? C'est bon?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Ok, d'accord, merci. Oui, en tant que président des producteurs de viande européens, je souhaitais d'abord vous féliciter pour la remarquable organisation et dans les conditions extrêmement difficiles que l'on connaît, la période de Covid, la période sanitaire. Quelques remarques. D'abord, les présentations sont très intéressantes parce qu'elles viennent de plusieurs pays. Elles se croisent toutes, et je pense que c'est bien, sur la notion de durabilité. Ça devient une urgence pour le secteur élevage, le secteur ruminant en général en Europe, puisque vous savez que nous sommes la cible de beaucoup d'attaques en Europe. Et la finalité de ces attaques, bien entendu, étant de faire baisser la consommation de produits carnés, aussi bien laitiers que viande. Néanmoins, dans les difficultés que l'on va rencontrer pour l'avenir, et je souhaite alerter sur ce point-là, les recherches qui sont effectuées par nos différents instituts en Europe sont très importantes et très efficaces, mais je suis inquiet sur un point fondamental. On va peut-être y revenir cet après-midi. Vous avez d'un côté la PAC qui va se mettre en place, la PAC pour le 1er janvier 2023, avec des injonctions qui vont venir de l'Europe, ainsi que des États membres dans les plans stratégiques. Et puis, de l'autre côté, vous avez le travail formidable que vous conduisez aujourd'hui sur la durabilité des systèmes d'élevage. Et à un moment donné, tout ça va se jouer sur la vulgarisation. Et je pense que c'est un sujet, moi je vous invite à la réflexion dans chacun de votre pays. On est avant tout dans une sphère scientifique, sphère d'élite, qui conduisent cette réflexion, et on a besoin de gens comme vous pour conduire cette réflexion. Mais lorsqu'il va falloir vulgariser tout cela auprès des éleveurs, je préfère vous le dire aujourd'hui, nous n'avons aucun ingénieur, aucun technicien de terrain formé, à l'heure où je parle, qui seront capables d'aller expliquer ces enjeux-là auprès des éleveurs européens. Donc, il faut faire très attention entre la recherche appliquée comme vous le faites, et vous avez raison, parce que c'est à partir de vous que l'on construit. Il va falloir se soucier très vite du discours qui va être tenu auprès des éleveurs européens, jusque dans l'ensemble des fermes d'élevage en Europe. Et je pense qu'on est un petit peu dans une course contre la montre, entre d'un côté ce qui va arriver dans des injonctions de la PAC, et de l'autre côté le travail que vous conduisez qui me semble beaucoup plus sage, beaucoup plus important dans le fonctionnement futur des exploitations. Donc je souhaitais soulever cette alerte de la vulgarisation de tout cela dans les fermes européennes.
Thank you very much for your comments and thoughts. It's very much fun, really interesting and can contribute to the project. So, there any comments at the chat?
Yeah, well, there is a comment for Maeve that she said that we are very blessed to have Jean-Pierre in this journey, and she appreciates his contribution. And she says that we will have an interactive session this afternoon.
Sorry, maybe can I speak directly?
Thank you, Michael. Yes, I think we're very much appreciative of Mr. Fleury's interjection and his appreciation of the project, and we know that he has been very much involved in following the project and supporting the project as well. So he alluded to a session that we're going to have this afternoon, and unfortunately, because we are going to have it in breakout rooms, we will not be able to do the simultaneous translation, but the idea is that we try to understand a little bit more what is going on at policy level in terms of defining a sustainable beef, and with a view to really determining as clearly as possible how bovine can contribute to that. We very much recognise the challenges that are involved that have been identified by Mr. Fleury, and I think one of the strengths of BovINE is that we have so many people, so many very, very intelligent, bright people, from farmers, researchers, advisors, representative bodies, all coming together, and the more we can share and exchange this information and knowledge and work towards the key targets that include policymakers. So while BovINE wants to focus on bringing research and innovation at farm level. We recognise that happens in a context and that policy supports may be required for these to happen in practice. So that is part of the focus of this afternoon session. So thank you very much, Mr. Fleury, for your interjection, and we hope that as many of you as possible can participate this afternoon. But as I say, regretfully, because we will have breakout rooms, we can't facilitate the simultaneous translation. It would just, I think, be beyond our technical capabilities and our budget. Thank you.
Thank you, mate. Thank you all. I don't know, I think that we can now move to the break. And you told me that in the break they are going to play the video of the Prime Minister of Estonia. Thank you all for your participation and see you in a few minutes with the next sessions of good practices and research innovations on socioeconomic resilience and on animal health and welfare. Thank you. Amy, when you want.
Mooi, wir sind am Betrieb in Niedersachsen. Am meisten ca. 100 Bullen im Jahr. Schwarzbunte sowie Kreuzungstiere. Unserer Meinung nach ist die Infrarottechnik nicht so gut geeignet, um lahme Tiere zu erkennen. Da sich bei uns das Problem herausgestellt hat, dass die lahmen Tiere sich meist eher im Hintergrund aufhalten und somit die gesunden Tiere die Sicht auf diese verdecken und somit auch die Kamera keine Auffälligkeiten an diesen Tieren entdecken kann. Beziehungsweise auch ranghöhere Tiere einen Zugang zu diesen Tieren versperren. Außerdem, wenn die Tiere dicht am Futtertisch stehen, hat die Kamera keine Sicht auf die Vordergliedmaßen, weswegen hier auch keine Auffälligkeiten mit der Kamera entdeckt werden können.
Hallo iedereen, vandaag zullen we jullie tonen hoe een thermale camera kan helpen in het vroeg detecteren van klauwproblemen. De thermale camera werd ontwikkeld in het Flyo-project Klauwkeer bij melkvee, maar dat gaan we hier demonstreren samen met het project BovINE bij vleesvee in de afmestfase. BovINE is een Europees project waarbij we eigenlijk werken rond verschillende thema's: socio-economische veerkracht, diergezondheid en dierenwelzijn, vleeskwaliteit en productie-efficiëntie en klimaat en duurzaamheid. Samen met de landbouwers gaan we eigenlijk op zoek wat hun noden zijn en aan de hand van deze noden bepalen we dan de topics waar we rond werken in het komende jaar. Dus elk jaar werken we rond verschillende thema's. Alle info die we doorheen het jaar verzamelen, die verspreiden we eigenlijk op verschillende manieren. Zo hebben we de BovINE website, maar gaan we onder andere ook demonstraties organiseren om innovaties te gaan tonen op een iets tastbare manier. In dit filmpje tonen we dus hoe de thermale camera werkt en Jorn en William zullen hier meer uitleg over geven. En daarnaast zal Michiel ook meer uitleg geven over zijn bedrijf en of deze thermale camera dus een meerwaarde is op het bedrijf.
Goedemiddag, ik ben Michiel de Roo. Ik heb samen met mijn echtgenoot en de zoon hier een rundveebedrijf in Zwevenzelen, West-Vlaanderen. Het is vooral vleesvee, 2/3 vleesvee en 1/3 melkvee op het bedrijf. We maken ongeveer 75-tal koeien, robot, Holstein, met vlekvee gekruist. En dan het vleesvee is wit-blauw, waar we hier tussen staan. Dus de vleesveestapel is volledig gesloten. De stieren blijven allemaal op het bedrijf. En de koeien worden afgezet hier bij de lokale slager. En de stieren gaan via de coöperatie Vlaams Goeverend naar het groot warenhuis. Klauwproblemen, wat we veelal zien is overmatige hoorngroei. Dus zeker aan de voorklauwen, aan de voorpoten, die gedraaide kurkentrekkertenen dat we zeggen, dat is toch een probleem die bij het pitblauw toch vrij frequent voorkomt. En ook toch wel wat mortellaro bij het vleesvee. Dat zien we toch vroeger minder, maar de laatste periode is dat toch in toenemende mate vast te stellen ook bij het vleesvee.
Vleesvee of melkvee, de techniek is hetzelfde. We starten aan de binnenklauw. Dat is de Hollandse methode. We starten met aan de binnenklauw te kijken naar de lengte. En die moet aan de bovenkant van de klauw, nu dat de klauw opgetrokken is, de onderkant, moet die eigenlijk 4 vingers bedragen. Te meten vanaf de kroonrand, dus de overgang van de haar naar de hoorn. En dat komt overeen met 7,5 centimeter. Tenzij dat je heel dikke of heel dunne vingers hebt. Die zit op lengte, op de gewenste lengte. En dat gaat in dit geval gaat dat een halve centimeter zijn die gaat mogen verdwijnen. Dat is die 4 vingers. Vervolgens gaan we de binnenklauw vlak zetten, maar we gaan erbij opletten dat we dat zo weinig mogelijk eigenlijk hoorn gaan verwijderen. Want die binnenklauw die staat al het laagste, die buitenklauw heeft al 6% van de druk dat moet ondergaan. En dus de binnenklauw die gaan we enkel maar vlak zetten. Je ziet dat is eigenlijk niet veel eraf gegaan is. De bedoeling is echt volledig vlak zetten. Uiteindelijk willen we het gewicht van die klauw gaan overbrengen naar de draagrand en het balgebied. Dus dit gebied tot hier en niet te vergeten hier, dat is eigenlijk het gebied waarop dat we willen dat die druk terechtkomt van die koe. Dus dit is eigenlijk de afwerking, het model inbrengen. Je kunt dat doen nadat je ook de buitenklauw hebt aangepakt, maar in dit geval doen we het nu meteen. Voilà. Oké. Nu gaan we hetzelfde verhaal doen aan de buitenklauw. We meten opnieuw de afstand van kroonrand tot aan top van de klauw. Dat is in dit geval ook weer ietsjes een centimeter langer. Maar we merken ook dat er een lichte krul is in de bovenkant van die klauw. Als we nu die op lengte gaan zetten en vervolgens hier gaan werken naar die 8 mm die gewenst op top van de klauw, gaan we toch te diep of te veel hoorn verwijderd hebben. Daarom gaan we voor onszelf eerst de bovenkant van de klauw vlak zetten. Dat is eigenlijk gewoon ter oriëntatie. Dat is onze 7,5 centimeter. Dit gebied is eigenlijk de regio waarin dat zoolzweren zich ontwikkelen. Door dit gebied lager te zetten, gaan we, wanneer dit mes de grond voorstelt, gaan we dit ontlasten. Wanneer dit ontlast wordt, gaan er hier ook geen zoolbloedingen ontstaan, minder zoolbloedingen ontstaan, gaan er daaruit ook minder zoolzweren ontstaan. Tussenklauw altijd checken. Dat is iets dat frequent vergeten wordt. Flossen is daarvoor een goede methode, dat is een goede gewoonte om dat systematisch te doen.
Ik ben Jorn Vervaak, onderzoeker op het ILVO en nu 2 jaar actief op het Flyo-klauwkaart-project. Met het klauwkaart-project willen we de klauwgezondheidsproblematiek op de Vlaamse melkveebedrijven gaan aanpakken. In meer dan 90% van de gevallen komt kreupelheid voort uit klauwletsels. Naast een negatieve impact op het welzijn van de koe, hebben ze dus ook een grote economische impact. Nochtans onderschatten melkveehouders nog te vaak de klauwgezondheidsproblematiek op hun bedrijf. Om ze hierbij te helpen ontwikkelen we binnen het klauwkaart-project enkele innovatieve tools die de veehouder helpen tijdens de klauwverzorging en bij het vroegtijdig detecteren van klauwletsels. Een van die tools maakt gebruik van thermale beelden om tijdens de klauwverzorging ontstekingen onder en rond de klauw waar te nemen. Op die manier worden ook de moeilijker te detecteren letsels zichtbaar. Hoe we hier precies voor te werk gaan, ziet u in het volgende fragment.
Omdat sommige letsels soms moeilijk met het oog te detecteren zijn, maken we gebruik van thermografie om de letsels op een efficiëntere manier te gaan detecteren. Thermale camera's zijn in staat om de oppervlaktetemperatuur van objecten te bepalen. Dit doen ze door te kijken naar een deel van het infraroodspectrum. Ze zien als het ware de hitte op dezelfde manier zoals wij kleur zien. De gemeten temperaturen worden dan weergegeven in een thermogram. Een voorbeeld van een reeks thermogrammen is hier te zien. Koude zones worden weergegeven in het donkerblauw en de warme zones in het geel. Omdat letsels gepaard gaan met ontstekingen, zorgen ze voor een lokaal maximum in temperatuur. Dit maximum is detecteerbaar met een thermale camera. Wat we hier zien is een koe met een panaritium in de linker achterpoot, ook wel feitpoot genoemd. De zwelling is hier duidelijk zichtbaar op de thermale camera. Een letsel is echter zelden zo duidelijk met het oog zichtbaar op een thermogram. En ook voor als we het letsel in een vroeger stadium willen gaan detecteren, is een andere aanpak nodig, want dan is het temperatuurverschil veel kleiner. Een betere oplossing zou zijn om de thermogram door de computer te laten interpreteren. Waar wij kijken naar de kleuren, kijkt de computer naar de temperatuurwaarden zelf. Hij ziet de thermograaf als een tabel van temperatuurwaarden. Hij interpreteert een letsel op een thermogram niet als een heel vlekje, maar als een lokaal maximum. Dit is iets waar wij als mens niet snel genoeg toe in staat zijn. Een computer kan natuurlijk niet op 1, 2, 3 een letsel herkennen. We moeten hem dit eerst aanleren. Hiervoor gebruiken we deep learning. Ik laat hier om tijdsredenen de technische details weg, maar door de computer heel veel thermogrammen te tonen van koeienpoten waarop de letsels zijn aangeduid, leert de computer na een tijd om zelf de letsels te gaan detecteren. We spreken dan van honderden tot duizenden foto's. Hoe meer foto's de computer krijgt, hoe beter. Een groot deel van het project bestaat dus uit het verzamelen van data met de thermale camera. Dit gebeurt vooral tijdens de klauwverzorging. We hebben hier het voordeel dat de koe vastzit in de klauwbox en dat we door het optillen van de poten ook de onderkant van de klauwen kunnen inspecteren. Hier treden dan ook de meeste letsels op. Het is belangrijk dat er geen vuil voor de klauwen zit, want dit vuil werkt isolerend, waardoor de letsels niet goed meer zichtbaar zijn op een thermale camera. Veeg indien nodig altijd goed de klauwen af met een borstel. Eenmaal de klauwen proper zijn, kunnen we beginnen met de klauwverzorging. Voor de thermale camera ziet dit er zo uit. Je kan mooi zien dat het warmer wordt hoe dieper we in de klauw snijden. Dit komt omdat we dichter bij het levend weefsel komen. Mocht er tijdens het verzorgen twijfel optreden, dan wordt met de thermale camera gekeken of er al dan niet letsels aanwezig zijn. Dit kan het geval zijn bij een manke koe waarna verzorging geen letsels zichtbaar zijn. Snij je dan dieper of niet? Een kijkje met de thermale camera biedt mogelijks antwoord. Omdat we met warmtebeelden werken, kunnen we natuurlijk niet met een slijpschijf de klauwverzorging doen. Dit zorgt voor een te grote temperatuurstijging, waardoor letsels onder de klauw zoals zoolzweren niet meer waarneembaar zijn. Een alternatief is om na het verzorgen met de slijpschijf een minuutje te wachten totdat de klauw terug afkoelt. Hoe werkt het algoritme voor letseldetectie nu precies? Stel dat we uitgaan van de volgende klauw met bijhorende thermograaf. In de eerste stap bepaalt een segmentatiealgoritme het onderscheid tussen de klauwen, de achtergrond en de huid tussen de klauwen. Hierdoor kan de nutteloze achtergrondinformatie worden weggefilterd. Wat overblijft is dus enkel nog de onderkant van de poot. Hierop wordt een objectdetectiemodel losgelaten dat in staat is om de letsels te detecteren. Let wel, wij zien hier de thermogram in kleur. Het model kijkt wel degelijk naar de temperaturen. Het uiteindelijke doel van ons project is om dit beeldverwerkingsalgoritme te implementeren op een smartphone-applicatie. Op die manier kan iedereen ermee aan de slag. De enige benodigdheden zijn dan een smartphone en een kleine thermale camera van rond de €400. De app kan dan tijdens de klauwverzorging gebruikt worden om met het oog moeilijk te detecteren letsels te identificeren. En de app biedt zo ook een antwoord op de vraag: moet ik hier nog dieper snijden? Momenteel is de app nog volop in ontwikkeling, maar een eerste versie kan en mag al in de nabije toekomst verwacht worden.
Dat stukje module of dat stukje dat je kunt op je smartphone zetten, dat lijkt mij wel interessant, omdat het met een kleine investering toch voor de veehouder gemakkelijk toe te passen is. Op het moment dat je die hitteplekjes ziet op de poot, is dat al een goede indicatie op eventuele onderliggende problemen. Dus we hopen dat dat zal werken.
In diesem Maststall werden rund 300 Mastbullen gehalten. Der Zukauf der Tiere, überwiegend Fleckvieh, erfolgt von 3 Lieferbetrieben. Futtergrundlage bildet eine Silage-Mischration. Der Stall verfügt über eine Traufe Fürstlüftung und die Tiere werden auf Tretmist gehalten. Die Mastperiode dauert knapp 18 Monate bis zu einem Endgewicht von ca. 730 Kilo. Durchschnittlich liegen die Zunahmen bei 1220 Gramm pro Tag. Heute werden die zugekauften Jungbullen gewogen. Beim Umtrieb fiel dem Landwirt ein Tier auf, das lahm ging. Dieses Tier war bereits für die Infrarotdemonstration in einem Gatter vereinzelt worden und es ist zu erkennen, dass bei der Extremität vorne links eine Schonhaltung vorliegt. Bei der Infrarotdemonstration zur Lokalisation von Entzündungen durch Wärmedetektion setzen wir eine professionelle Wärmebildkamera ein. Unsere Ergebnisbilder stellen wir den Aufnahmen mittels eines IR-Systems für gegenüber.
Wir bewirtschaften im Bereich Celle einen Futterbaubetrieb mit 700 Mastbullenplätzen und sind heute hier, um die Bullen zu selektieren und zu wiegen. Uns ist aufgefallen, dass eins der Tiere am Humpeln war. Durch die Thermografie war es möglich, die Ursache zu lokalisieren, was mir sehr gut gefallen hat und was ich für die Zukunft auch gerne einsetzen würde. Wir haben mit Thermografie im Bereich der Semillierung, also landwirtschaftlicher Futterlagerung, Erfahrung und wollen damit Nacherwärmungen verhindern, machen dort auch schon Thermografien und im Bereich Biogas können wir über die Thermografie die Höhe in unserem Gärrestlager bestimmen, dass man sonst nicht reinschauen kann.
Weitere Tiere werden zur Waage getrieben. Eines der Tiere konnte nicht mithalten und wurde im Treibgang separiert. Dieser Jungbulle lahmt mit hängender Schulter und konnte sich vorne rechts nicht abstützen. Im Infrarotbild ist dieses Tier an den Klauen und den Kabalgelenken unauffällig. Die Schulter und der Bug erscheinen wesentlich wärmer. Es ist anzunehmen, dass das Tier sich eine schwere Prellung zugezogen hat. Die Infrarotkamera des Landwirts ist ein modulares System zum Aufstecken an das Handy. Die Kosten für diese FLIR-Kamera betragen etwa 400 €. Die Aufnahmen mit dem FLIR-System können als Bilder oder Videos abgespeichert werden. Voraussetzung für gut fokussierte Bilder ist, dass das Tier nicht weiter weg als 2 Meter stehen sollte und das Sichtfeld nicht durch Einrichtungen oder andere Tiere eingeschränkt wird. Gut durchblutete Hautareale, aber auch haarlose Liegestellen zeichnen sich durch höhere Wärmeemissionen aus. Hier sieht man eine Gegenüberstellung der Bilder, die mit professioneller und mobiler Infrarotkamera aufgenommen wurden. Um eine Entzündung und die damit erhöhte Wärmeemission nachzuweisen, sollte immer der gegenüberliegende Fuß als Kontrolle genutzt werden. Beide Systeme eignen sich für den Nachweis, dass die Lahmheit bei diesem Tier durch eine Klauenentzündung bedingt ist. Kann der Entzündungsbereich ausreichend nah fokussiert werden, lassen sich auch mehr Details feststellen.
tere ilusat päeva, head konverentsist osavõtjad. Minu nimi on Urmas Kruus ja olen Eesti maaeluminister. Mul on teid hea meel tervitada, kuigi hinges on ka väike kurbuse noot, sellepärast et kahjuks ei ole meil võimalik iga kord kokku saada nii, nagu me oleme tavaliselt harjunud, sest COVID-viirus on teinud ka korrektuure meie kokkusaamistesse. Aga kindlasti ei ole see vähendanud indu selles osas, et vahetada kogemusi, õppida teineteiselt ja ehitada üles paremat elukeskkonda. Eesti kord on seekord korraldada ja meil üks laulusalm küsib niimoodi, et mis maa see on, see Eesti maa. Ja tuleb tunnistada, et see on üks väike maa siin Läänemere kaldal ja
kus elab kõigest umbes 1,3 miljonit inimest. Ja me oleme õnnelik rahvas selles osas, et meil on oma ülikoolid, meil on oma keel, meil on oma kultuur. Me oleme suutnud sellises globaalses mõjuvõimus ikkagi jääda ellu ja kui meenutada ka 50 aastat meie nõukogude perioodi ja mõelda, et kuidas meil läinud on, siis me võime öelda, et meil on siiani ikkagi veel päris hästi läinud, et oleme taas iseseisvunud ja see on kõige suurem väärtus, mis meil täna on. Ka esimese vabariigi aegadel 1920 kuni 40 tegelikult tegeleti väga intensiivselt põllumajandusega ja põllumajandus oli väga oluline ja ka maarahvastik oli selgelt rohkem, aga need trendid on mõjutanud ka meid. Ja täna me pingutame päris kõvasti selle nimel, et maal oleks rohkem inimesi, kellel on ka tööd ja põllumajandus on üks valdkond. Täna me räägime lihaveiste kasvatajatest ja lihaveise kasvatusest ja loomulikult on see olnud meie taasiseseisvumisperioodil selline tõusev trend ja tuleb tunnistada neid inimesi, kes selle valdkonnaga on tegelenud. Kui me vaatame seda, et kui palju meil on põllumajandusmaad ühe elaniku kohta, siis me saame öelda seda, et meil on pea 2 korda rohkem kui Euroopas tervikuna. Ja selle tõttu on ääretult oluline, et me saaksime ka oma looduslikku keskkonda kasutada lihaveiste kasvatuses ja selle tõttu me püüame väga selgelt tegeleda ka sellega, et meie rohumaad, meie pärandniidud säiliksid. Kui me toome siin näited, siis meenutame eelmise sajandi algust, kus tegelikult pärandniit oli ligi 1,8 miljonit hektarit. Täna me rääkisime sellest, et põllumajandusmaad üldse kokku on kuskil 1 miljon hektarit. Ja selle tõttu on meile kindlasti oluline, et meie pärandniidud ja meie selline looduslik kooslus, mida me põlvest põlve oleme saanud hoida, kindlasti säiliks ja me teame seda, et paljudes riikides need asjad ei ole tegelikult nii head, kui nad võiksid olla. Kui me vaatame täna siis palju meil näiteks lihaveisid on, siis me võime öelda, et enam-vähem neid on kuskil sama palju kui piimaveised, seal 80 000 juures ja see arv on kasvanud ja see valdkond on võib-olla üks valdkond, kus noored ettevõtjad sellise võib-olla natukene kergema vaevaga saavad siseneda, aga kindel on ka see, et kui me vaatame ka seda võimalust turu pealt tulu teenida, siis ega see väga lihtne ei ole, sellepärast et lihaveiste puhul toetuste osakaal sellest tulust on ligi 38% ja uued investeeringud ees, nii et meil kõigil on üsna keerulised väljakutsed, räägime siin kas või strateegiast talust taldrikule või Fit for 55-st. Need on väljakutsed, aga teiselt poolt ka võimalused, sest kindel on see, et kui me vaatame seda, kui intensiivselt me erinevaid loodusvarasid oleme viimase 150 aasta jooksul kasutanud, siis me peame endale tunnistama, et päris samasuguse kiirusega me enam edasi minna ei saa. Nii et ma väga loodan seda, et see konverents on teile huvitav ja saame tulevikus ka kohtuda silmast silma, nii nagu see ikka on. Et praegu lihtsalt kujutan ette seda, kuidas teie kõik kuulate erinevaid ettekandjaid ja püüan ennast ka hoida heas toonuses, aga olen siiralt tänulik nii korraldajatele kui osalejatele ja soovin selle sektori inimestele ja kaasamõtlejatele jõudu, jaksu ja kindlasti hoidke tervist ja olge terved.
Hey Stefan. Robbie had mij gisteren nog gestuurd in verband met zijn risicoanalyse die
Lina, you can start with the next session presentation slides.
Understood.
Lina, can you start with the next presentations? Thank you.
Hi, may I start?
Okay, sorry. Okay, Jose, yes, please go ahead.
I hope everyone hears me loud and clear. Yeah. Okay. So when you want, I can start.
Yes, please, you can start.
Okay, so the first slide, please. Well, once again, I would like to welcome everyone here at this meeting. Good morning again. And I'll be presenting here on behalf of our producers group, Promert, a good practice entitled for European Union quality schemes. This good practice is related to the socioeconomic resilience area from BovINE, and the topic is that one that is described below: initiatives to improve beef image and to break with the current trend of consumption decline. Next slide, please. Well, the main quality labels for established by EU for quality schemes are these three here. You can see on the left side the protected designation of origin, PDO, the protected geographical indication, PGI, and the EU organic logo. This is the second logo for this type of production. The first one was different and much more like the other two. Well, what are these quality labels? They are related to systems that have something specific in their production. For instance, something related to the way they are produced, the raw materials they use, or something connected with culture or social factors. Next slide, please. Well, I bring here for this good practice the example of Mutlenga PDO beef by using this kind of labels. In 1994, the PDO label for the Mutlenga beef was approved by the European Union, and as we all know and remember, in the early 90s, there was a huge problem on the beef cattle production in Europe, and it was related with BSE. And in Portugal, and I think in all other places around Europe, the beef consumption dropped drastically, and sometimes it became really residual. So this happened at the same time that we were starting our PDO beef labeling production, and with the story behind the label, the production system, and so on, we had an excellent response for the consumer and an excellent acceptance for this type of product. Of course, the problems at the beginning helped us to start and sell this kind of product with this label, but as the time go on, and for almost 30 years, this PDO label reveals to be a really valuable asset for us, because the problems nowadays are different, of course, but this has been a really good tool, so our producers group can sell the meat and add some interesting value to it for the farmer. Next slide, please. Well, this is just an image to show how our label evolved from 1994 until now. The first label on the top left is the first one we used. Then along the years, the other ones, and those two on the bottom are the actual labels. Next slide, please. Well, this is the last slide, and this is the web page for European Union European quality schemes, with the link above. This is just to remark that these kind of labels are not exclusive for the beef production. They are also used for other kind of products for food consumption, wine and spirits, cheese, whatever, fruit, and so on. And this slide, this link, if you want, you can use it and explore a little bit more to understand how does it work and the relationship between products and these labels. Thank you. That's all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Jose. I don't know if there are any questions.
There aren't any questions.
Okay, then, so we can continue with next presentation. Next slide, please. Thank you. Is from Belgian Good Practice, Dirk Adernat. Very sure.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. So, sorry, yesterday afternoon I wasn't at the meeting because I have to be in Belgium at the meeting you see behind me. We had a manifestation with 4,000 farmers, tractors, so not every problem. We have still problems to solve. And we will try to do it also by BovINE. Next slide, please. So one of the problems in Belgium is the use of water, and I will say something about disinfection of the rainwater by UV. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah. So the problem in Belgium that a lot of water is used on our beef farms. The liters you need for an animal, it's based on the temperature outside. And you see when temperature is going higher, the cow, an animal needs more liters water per kilogram dry matter she takes in. Normally, you can say that an animal needs 4.5 liters per kilogram dry matter. So on a farm of 200 cows, animals, we need about 6,000 liters a day. And on that gives a lot of water each year. And we need water for drinking water for the animals, for the preparation of the milk powder, because in Belgium a lot of the calves have milk powder. Also for cleaning stables, the machines and the equipment. And in our country, pumping up groundwater is becoming difficult to have a permission, to have a license. And tap water is very expensive, so that's also not a solution for most of the farms. Rainwater, we have enough of it, mostly in winter. And collecting rainwater is then a solution. But the problem is that the quality of the rainwater. So next slide, please. On most farms, the collection of rainwater is an obligation. And there are, and to use this water as drinking water, the quality must be the standards for animals for drinking water. And on the left side, you see what is important. You can analyze the water. That's very, very important, the quality of the water. And you need a water analysis. I would say that is not often done, but you should have, the farmers should do it more. And after water analysis, you know what the quality, if the quality is sufficient. And in rainwater, you have something which is better than because you have less chemical elements in the rainwater. When you have groundwater, and iron can be two difficult chemical elements in the water, and then you have to handle them separately. So the chemical elements, iron and nitrate, you have a solution for that. And afterwards, you can, especially when you have rainwater collected, you have to use a UV filter. So the water can be disinfected, and so it's also bacterial okay, and so give it to the cattle. Sometimes people have also add a doses of peroxide. have the good quality. Of course, it is important that the bacterial quality is okay, the chemical quality is okay, and normally you have an expert company for make such an installation. Okay, and next slide. So such a UV disinfection system, it comes also always on the end of the rainwater when it's pumped up and you have already cleaned it. Then you have a UV disinfection system. Such a system has a cost of about 1,000 or 1,500 euros for a form of 200 animals, and you need what you see on the top of it. It's the UV filter, and there you need almost every year a new lamp, an UV lamp, and that the cost of that is about 150 euros, and you need normally every year you need a new UV lamp on it from such a cost of 150 euros. Okay, so the next slide. Yeah, so there are a few companies in our country who give advice. Inagro has a good one. Also, you see on different websites where can see more information, and a lot of commercial firms have a good advice to use to how you have to use such equipment and how you can rainwater using for drinking water for animals. It's not also always direct the good quality, and you have to know that bacterial quality is also important, and UV filtration or UV equipment is a good thing to do that. Okay. That was my good practice from Belgium, I think.
Thank you, Dirk. So there was a problem at India. We had an electricity cut down in the building. So technology is really not helping us today. Hopefully I'm at home working, so I will take over from Maite right now. Thank you, Dirk. We don't have any question in the chat. So we will continue with Kees de Roost from CRPA, the World Package Leader on Socioeconomic Resilience, and he will explain 2 research innovations. Kees, the floor is yours.
Yes, Damiana, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. I will present this presentation on the research innovations on socioeconomic resilience related to 2 topics which have been chosen by the farmers as priority topics of this year. Please, the next slide, please. This these topics are, first of all, how to improve the beef image on the market, to promote consumption, and at least to put a break on the decline of the consumption of beef in Europe. The farmers in Europe have asked to dig in this on this topic to see what kind of initiatives can be taken, being taken to promote the beef image on the market. And together with the members of the research working group, we have collected a series of innovative initiatives. And they are all, well, the most important problem of this topic is, of course, related to the fact that in Europe, beef consumption is declining, and there are forecasts until 2030 that it will decline further, perhaps below 10 kilos of meat beef per capita. There is also a tendency to a shift from high quality beef to ground beef, to hamburgers, let's say, instead of high quality beef. And then this first topic was also inspired by the fact that beef is under attack by many organizations, sometimes in the right way, sometimes not. And of course, one of the things, for example, which pops up are the reports of the World Health Organization on excessive consumption of beef, for example, or the reports of the FAO on how beef cattle contributes to CO2 emissions, which have already been discussed also this morning. What kind of initiatives can be done to reduce the CO2 emissions? And also water use is one of the things which are being used as an argument to be against the consumption of beef, but forgetting the fact that a lot of this water use is being recycled again and is not consumed directly by all these beef cattle. But that's the reason why we have analyzed several initiatives, and they are all on the BovINE Knowledge Hub, where you can see them. What kind of initiative have been looked for. Also the good practice, which Jose Pais already mentioned, belongs to this topic. And then the second topic is about efficient housing systems to reduce water use, like Dirk already illustrated, but also to improve labor productivity, to improve energy efficiency of the housing systems. And that's the second topic of socioeconomic resilience this year, has been the topic of this year. So please, the next slide. I would like to illustrate, first of all, the initiative related to improving the beef image on the market. This initiative is called Sustainable Meat Project. This is one of the 11 initiatives which have been collected in the working group and has obtained the highest ranking among the working group in terms of its effectiveness and its quality to tackle the problem of the beef image on the market. It starts to state that this initiative, that sustainability meat is a very complex and debated subject, and I presume also this afternoon we'll discuss that in the round table. But the Sustainable Meat Project identifies key issues, the state of knowledge, and the latest trends in scientific and technical guidelines to improve the beef image on the market. Beef, but also other meats, but beef primarily. And to show that production and consumption of meat can also be sustainable, both for health and for the environment. So that it's not only negative, but there are also very, very positive and aspects related to the consumption of meat in general and to beef in particular. Please, the next one. Next slide, please. Well, this Sustainable Meats Project, now I'm going more into the detail what's the project about. It started already in 2012 by a group of operators in the livestock sector, companies and associations in the livestock sector in Italy. It is an organization this organization, Sustainable Meats, has been organized to support scientific studies that in the logic of pre-competitive transparency show objective evidence of the advantages of beef production for society, which is the main objective of this project. And it is being promoted by three main organizations of slaughterhouses and farmers, meat farmers, Assucarni, Assica, and Unitalia. And they have altogether promoted a website, which is in Italian, carnisostenibili.it, but also in English, www.thesustainablemeat.com website. where you can find all the information and initiatives this Sustainable Meat Project is promoting. And also at EU level, the Sustainable Meat Project is quite active to collaborate with other organizations in Europe about how to improve the beef image on the market. Please, yes. The next slide. Here I show you just two screenshots of this website of Carni Sustainabili, which is find in the left upper side, Carni Sustainability, which stands for sustainable meat, of course. Here we just to show you, for example, in the top of this website, you see the subjects on which this website is informing the people who are looking at this website about what meat, where positive aspects of meats are put into evidence by means of scientific studies, by reports, which are all produced by scientists related to the beef and to the meat chain in Europe and in Italy, not only in Italy, of course. And the subjects are health and nutrition, environmental sustainability, food safety and security, animal welfare, economic waste, and evolution and culture. This is just to show one of the things which is on the latest news, for example, which is indicating vegan diets can cause deficiencies and eating disorders in adolescents, for example, and then you click on it and get more information about it. Another issue which is just recently put on the website, also in November this year, lab growing meat is less sustainable than you think. And the UN, for example, is emphasizing that meat-free diets may lead also to malnutrition. So please have a look at this website. You will find more information about what this Sustainable Meat Project is about. Please, the next one, next slide. Here you see to which extent also Carni Sustainabili, together with all other European organizations which are related to the meat chain in Europe, are together working to influence the CAP. For example, this one is farm to fork after a year, still no impact assessment. So here, this part of the website is dedicated to the debate on the farm to fork strategy, what the effect can be. Of course, I'm not going into the details of the debate, but it's just to indicate that this website is informing also the audience about the latest development of the CAP and that which is related to the meat consumption and the meat chain. Okay, then this is the last slide dedicated to this Sustainable Meats Project. And next slides I will dedicate these to, please the next slide. I have to forget the last one, as I have to admit this is the last one, because here I can show you the lessons learned from the Sustainable Meats Project. The main benefit of the initiative is the promotion of moderate consumption of beef and to create a platform to produce information about the nutritional value of beef. It's possible to produce objective and scientific information about the nutritional value of beef, which is very important, and about the role of beef cattle to exploit less favored areas in Europe, in particular the areas where you only can grow pasture, for example. The role of beef cattle to exploit these less favored areas that otherwise could be run the risk to be abandoned. And that can be has been demonstrated by means of scientific research results. And then finally, the lessons learned of this Sustainable Meat Project is that it contributes to the maintenance of beef cattle farms in Europe and to the continuity of the generation of income and employment of thousands and thousands of people who are working in this sector. And now I will go through the second innovative initiative, which is instead related to the second topic on efficient housing systems. This innovation is an operational group to which BovINE is linked. Now, a mutual link we have created with this operational group in Italy, which is about feeding the cattle by means of automatic feeding systems, AFS systems. And these are totally automated systems to administer feed to dairy cattle and beef cattle farms in Lombardia, which is the main livestock area in northern Italy. Of course, this innovation is also used in many other parts of Europe, but this operational group consists of a research center, CRPA, as well as 5 dairy and beef cattle farmers. Please, the next slide, please. It's focused on this system of self-propelled electric wagons that manage the ration of the groups independently and at a variable frequency. These are connected to a fully automated kitchen which fills the wagons with the rations to be offered to the animals. And the wagons, they can operate 24 hours a day, so they have a big advantage in terms of increasing the labor productivity. And they can manage also different rations for different groups. So it's also very, very good for precision feeding. It's even possible to administer to groups of cattle the exact ration for that age and different breed of that certain breed. And the system is also monitoring the animal performances. So automatically also the animal performances and the herd status is also monitored by this system. Please, next slide. And the activities of the operational groups, this group, which will finish its work at the end of 2022, is to analyze the market of the different types, of course. There are different companies which are producing these facilities. It's about focused on the different housing systems, which housing systems are most equipped or better adapted to this total mixed ration wagons, completely automatically managed. And it's also about monitoring the analysis of the cattle farms which are already equipped with this equipment to highlight the economic, productive performances and animal welfare aspects. An interesting aspect of this technology is as well that it's very silent, as it is electric, so also the animals are much more not much disturbed, because very silently these wagons are going into the stables. And second advantage is it can be connected to solar panels, so it's even possible to have a farm at the end which by means of the solar panels which are connected to the electric wagons to improve very much the energy efficiency of the farm. And then the fourth activity of this group, operational group, is to do feasibility studies in farms which are not equipped with this technology, to define the technical economic convenience. So also the economic cost and benefits of this system will be analyzed before and after the installation of this wagons. The last slide then is dedicated to some pictures of this two company types, which at the left side you will see a farm in Verona in Italy with beef cattle, with 960 beef cattle. There you see how this technology is moving within the farm to serve the animals with their feed. And in the lower left, you see the kitchen where it's automatically these wagons are filled, which are completely can be programmed by the farmer. And on the right side, you will see also another type of these automatic feeding systems in another farm in Mantua, also in northern Italy, with 800 finishing cattle, which are electrically driven and self-propelled, and see also the kitchen in that farm. So finally, I can tell all of you that in May, this 2022, the date has not yet been finalized, but then there will be a special international webinar together with organized with Minerva, our dissemination partner of BovINE, to have an international webinar dedicated to this system, to these systems. So all of you will be invited who are being interested in this automatic system to participate, because the researchers and the leader of the research group will present the results of these operational group in this international webinar. Okay, well, that's I think the next slide. I would like to thank you for your attention, and of course with the invitation to all of you to visit the Knowledge Hub of BovINE to find all the information about the innovations which have been collected by BovINE this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Keith. We have some technical problems here. Now we are back. Sorry for that. I don't know if there are any questions in the chat.
No,
there aren't. So maybe we can go to Mentimeter again. Isabel, are you there? You can maybe share your screen. Isabel? Thank you. So you can write in the chat again the code in case it's necessary. So first question is, did you find the presented solutions useful for your context? Yes, somehow. No? Yes, somehow. Yes. Yes. Almost yes. Okay. Okay, so yes. We can move to the next slide. Sarah, please. Okay, what did you find most interesting from presented solutions? Again, you can write here also any comments you want to reflect or to send to the speakers. Minister disinfection. Okay. Out of field system. Very practical examples. Interesting tools to use. Disinfection of rainwater, DO, out of field system. Out of it, practical. Water will be more of a challenge in future, automating feeding in a rainwater filter, rainwater disinfection. And we go down, please, Isabel, so we can read, okay. Out of feed system with some very interesting samples, UV disinfection of rainwater in Belgium, improving acceptance on selling to consumers by labeling, okay. Good technology, health and environmental parallels, quality scam. We can go down. I think there are more comments. Sarah, please. Okay, sustainable meat. We need to insert evidence-based. The water system is very useful with technology, labels, rainwater collections, and disinfection. Okay, UV disinfection of rainwater in Belgium. So something quite interesting. Okay. So thank you. I think we can, I don't know if there are any speaker would like to add any comments or If not, there are more contributions, clear examples of cooperation and collaboration, labeling as one solution for the future, water. Okay, great. Thank you very much for all your comments. And if not, we can move to the next session then. And there's one comment, collecting all more contributors collecting rainwater, sustainable needs. Okay, thank you very much for your contribution to the Mentimeter. And we can now move to the next session, exchange of good practices and research innovations on animal health and welfare. If we can see, please, the presentation again. Thank you. So first, it's a good practice from France. Next slide, please. Okay, presented by Florian Rust.
Thank you. Yes, I'm here. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So yeah, I will present maybe on the next slide, please. Yeah, so I'm going to be presenting today the BovIWell diagnosis. The idea during the BovINE project was to find a good practice on animal health and welfare, and more specifically on simple labor-saving tools that could measure and communicate high animal welfare standards on beef farms. So the BovIWell is developed by Dairy Cattle Chain and Beef Cattle Chain, and it was co-owned by their representative bodies. And it's a diagnosis that had been validated by the entire French sector. So for the beef cattle, for example, BovIWell will be used as a complement to various quality schemes, for example, the Label Rouge. And there have been more than 1,200 audits in the beef cattle as of now, and more than 800 auditors trained thanks to an Excel tool. And there is an application that is expected next year for these audits. It's based on 30-50 measures and questions per animals, or on their environment, and it's aggregated. So aggregated. I put a little example on the side. First of all, as a score per criteria, then a score per freedom, since it meets the 5 freedoms principles, and then a global score on the form. So all of that has to be kept in mind that if there is a lower score on one of the criteria, it will have a higher weight on the scoring at the end. And the scoring is based on the welfare qualitative methods, with a few adjustments that have been made after a consultation with experts and stakeholders. So if you can move to the next slides. It's an objective evaluation that has been based on the same diagnosis everywhere in France. The idea is to find good practices and efforts made on the farm on animal welfare specifically. So for example, food, water, health, comfort, and human-animal relationships. So as I said, the 5 principles. There are 3 steps in carrying the diagnosis. So first of all, there are a few questions that are asked in the office. Easy question, for example, the number of animals, or this kind of questions. The second step is an evaluation in or outside the building. So an animal observation and an observation of the environment. And the observations are made by trained auditors, and the farmer has to be present during those observations and measurements. And the last step will be a presentation of the results and a few advice. So a diagnosis will last for about 2 or 3 hours, depending on the number of animals and the category. And for example, the type of questions and observation that can emerge can be observation on the animals, for example, relation to human, body condition of behavior, a few questions on farmer practices or herd results like disbudding, mortality, or cesarean section. So that can be the type of question asked inside the office. And a few measurements related to housing condition, for example, resting, watering, or exercise. And the idea is that with this diagnosis, the breeder, after half a day of diagnosis, can immediately know first the level of animal welfare on his farm. So I showed on the right an example. So that's the farm score in green. You can also have the criteria which are strong points of the animal welfare on the farm. So that's on the left. It's a little small, I'm sorry, but that's on the left, the green part. So that will show the strong points of animal welfare. And on the right, you have the criteria who are weak points in terms of animal welfare and which require real progress. And so I zoomed on the right, you can see also the level of the farm, so the blue part, compared to the average of other breeders who have passed the same diagnosis, so the part in gray. And basically the idea is that the presentation of this diagnosis and those comparison will allow the discussion to start and for the farmers to see that there is still margin of improvement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Florian. I think there are no questions in the chat, so we can continue with next good practice, please. Okay, it's Polish good practice presented by Jerzy Wieswicki. Jerzy, are you there? Okay, the first yours.
Hello, my name is Jerzy Wieswicki. I'm representing Polish Beef Association.
Sorry, I think we can't hear you.
Hello, now you hear me better?
Oh, very low.
Hello, 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 hello. Do you hear me?
It's still very low, Jerzy.
Hello.
Okay. Speak again. Okay.
Hello. Hello.
We hear very low, Jerzy. Maybe speak closer to the microphone.
Hello.
Maybe we can continue with the next.
Hello.
Oh, yes, no, okay. Okay.
You hear me?
Yes, perfect. Now we can hear you.
Okay. Apologize. I'm on the quarantine, and my village is very poor connection. Okay, but anyway, I think we will be successful now. Okay, our good practice is calf and shade monitoring system. Next slide, please. Yes, the name of the application, it's Estado. In Polish, it's mean a herd of cattle. How does it work? The system contains the sensors, the ear sensor and tail biosensors, also the temperature and humidity detectors mounted in the barn, and also the radio transmitters. Biosensors are maintenance free with no need to change batteries and can be reinstalled multiple times. For users, it's easy to manage. The farmers can access the user panel via smartphone, tablet, or computer. Urgent notice are sent via text message. Cattle maintenance system, the application monitors animals in both freestyle and stand-hen barns, as well as on the remote pasture. Animal activity data and the barn conditions are sent to the central server, where they are proceeded through the smart algorithms. Next slide, please. Components of the system. The first, the most important, is ear biosensor. It analyzes rumination and feeding. Then analyzes resting periods, imported parameter, measure body temperature. Also detect summer heat stress for each animal. Then we have an environmental sensor, measure the temperature inside the building, measure humidity inside the building, and calculate heat stress index. And then we have radio transmitters inside the barn and on the pasture. This component forward data from sensors to the central server, provide Wi-Fi internet connection inside the barn, use safe voltage supply, resistant to power outages, and adjusted for solar power supply on pasture. And the last component is the barn monitor. Can be installed in the barn condition, display all the e-status functions and alarms, hermetic casing made of stainless steel, touch screen. Okay, this all system help the farmers to monitoring the behavior of the animals, and farmers receive the alarms if it's something going wrong with the animals, with all animals or individual animal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Terzi, for your presentation. I think there's some questions in the chat.
Yeah, there is one question of Lucia. She says, does the Bobby well adapt to different production systems? I understood that the system was the same in the whole country, but I wonder about the different production systems.
Yes, so if I can answer that, but maybe also Beatrice Mounet from IDEL could if she had more compliments. But there are specific questions for different production systems. For example, for animals with no access to the outside, there will be indicators on pica, tone gains, or suction, for example, for young cattle.
Okay, there is also another question for Florian. One of the AEW scheme's handicaps is the auditing time. When you said between 2 and 3 hours, seems to me that too short for the overall standards that I knew. Is the time of auditing an item that you consider when adapting, for instance, animal welfare protocol?
I'm not sure I understood the question completely, but 2-3 hours is an average. So in some cases, if it's needed, it could be longer, but it's an average to give an idea to the farmers.
Maybe I can complete the answer if you don't mind, Florian.
Go ahead, Beatrice. Thank you.
Yes, actually, we made test, and yes, 2 hours is the average for beef cattle. It depends on the number and the category of animals you have to evaluate, but also the application. Well, actually, even the Excel file make it quicker and easier to make the audit. So that's why it's quicker also. And hopefully the application will improve the time and the duration of the audit tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. I think there are some questions that have been answered.
Yeah,
in the chat.
Yeah, Kevin asked for something. I don't know, Kevin, if you want, or Jerzy, you want to share your comments.
Okay. If not, we can continue then with next presentation. Is the Estonian good practice presented by Eiri. Eiri, please go ahead.
Hello. I hope everybody hears me. Yes. Good practice represent low stress weaning with best brook. And I'm really happy that the same farmer whose good practice I'm presenting is also with. You will see the full video during the lunch break of the farm, and it's how it represented. But the farmer started using this method to reduce weaning. And after first year, it became clear that it also improved health and weight gain at farm level. So the suckler cattle are sorted already in the pasture, usually between August or September, which is still summer in Estonia, but the late summer. and it is usually the time when we are taking off the breeding bulls from the herd. And as the farmer uses the portion grazing, they can sort the animals on pasture, so they don't have to drive them to the farm building, because the portion grazing, rational grazing, makes animals very calm and movable. The one herd is with mother cows with bull calves, and the other herd will be mother cows with the heifer calves. And so the and cows, the mothers go to the distant. And once there is grazing period ends, it's usually in October, different herds come to different buildings. Next slide, please. I have also here a video, but I think it's not working. But okay, you will see the video afterwards. Okay.
I think we were planning to.
Okay.
Show the video.
Mm-hmm. You can see the okay. I could have the slides back. A slide level with the. Yes. Actually, there are two buildings. So this was the building for the mothers with bull calves. So the old barn area is divided into 2 to 3 sectors and separated by intermediate gates. And cows are in the one of the barn, and they are receiving feed only hay, and the bull calves of the barn, and they receive hay and silage. And the gate is just that wide that the calves are at first moving really easily through the gate. Low stress, then as the calves starting to grow, eventually they don't fit very easily through the gates. And they themselves stop to use the mother's side because they don't get silage there also. And when the calves are stopping seeing the mothers, the farmer sees that, then she closes the gates for good. And by this method, the milk capacity of the suckler cows is very well used, and there is absolutely no stress of the animals. And the mothers and calves remain side by side in the farm, in the feeding area until the sale of the calves. But I say that the long video will be seen in the lunch break of the whole farm. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Heidi. I think there are no questions. No, okay, then. So now we can go to the research innovations on animal health and welfare, presented by Frank-Dieter Serf and Mona Beatriz Munoz. Okay, next slide, please.
Good afternoon and hello again. You hear me? Yes?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, thanks. Yes, animal health and welfare is the fourth work package in the BovINE project. And we have 2 priority topics every year. And what we want to do now is to show one innovation of each topic from this year. The first topic was simply labeled saving tools to measure and communicate animal welfare standards on beef farms. And this innovation, which I want to present here, is an on-farm scoring for bovine respiratory disease. I want to refer first to Canadian literature from 2021 that reports a decrease in feed efficiency and life cycle efficiency due to high morbidity and mortalities of calves in North America. And what we found is a scoring procedure which was developed at the Californian School of Veterinary Medicine in Davis for weaned dairy calves. And this procedure is based on 6 clinical signs for respiratory disease. And the procedure is very simple. It is accurate, fast, and reliable. And especially, we think that is also very well for fattening farms and to perform this before animals were purchased from other farms, especially with different health status. Okay, next slide, please. This is a short summary of the scores. There are, yes, you have to have a look at eye discharge and at nasal discharge. There's also a need to look on eardrop or head tilt. And it is very simple to hear coughing, and you must have a look at breathing frequencies, and temperature is also an indicator. So there you can do scoring for each indicator, and then you summarize all indicators. And if it is over 5, you have a high possibility for bovine respiratory diseases. And it's very likely to do this before you brought animals from other farms, that you have control on the health status. So there's given a link where you can get more information, or you have a look at the Bovine Knowledge Hub where it is posted. Thank you very much. And now we go to the second priority topic, where we have also an example of an innovation. Beatrice, your follow.
Yes, thank you very much. If you don't mind, I will share my my screen. Okay, this is, you should see my presentation. Is it okay for everyone? I hope so. Okay.
No, we don't have it, Beatrice.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Okay, too bad. How is it? Let me check again. It should work. Yes. Okay, I just forgot. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, and this is presentation, correct? Perfect. Okay, so I'm Béatrice Monetz. I work for the French Livestock Institute, and I will be presenting today the second innovation, which was selected for the second topic about management, housing, and any factors that could affect animal welfare in fattening units. We called it Mix and Match, and it is based on the observation that in France, and probably also in your own countries, young bulls are grouped according to body weight or body size into very homogeneous groups at the start of the fattening. And this is in order to simplify the management of fattening units, feeding, of course, but also housing. But it is also sometimes based on the false assumption that it would end in homogeneous groups by the end of fattening, which is obviously not true at all. You had a presentation this morning about feeding efficiency, and you could see that this is very variable, and homogeneity at the beginning doesn't guarantee homogeneity by the end. But this practice conducts to a mixing on fattening farms with almost as many bulls as many origins, and also to an increase in both the distance and the duration of transportation for bulls to the fattening units. We have evidence, and there are so many experimental studies that have shown that this mixing is detrimental to health and welfare of young bulls. It does not guarantee any higher performances or higher growth. It increases the health risk due to the mixing of pathogens, and it also increases the social stress as it takes longer to establish good social relationship between animals when they are of the same body size and when they do not come from the same herd. And we all know that there is a strong relationship between stress and immunity, and you can imagine the impact of social stress on health. And finally, once again, homogeneity at the beginning does not guarantee at all homogeneity by the end of the fattening. So to make it short, here is a story of fattening young bulls, at least in France. And you can see that BRD is the main health issue for them, with almost 20% of bulls affected. And even if you don't see them, even if you don't see any clinical sign, they can be infected and have impact on the growth performance due to the BRD infection. So what about the innovation? Well, the innovation is to reduce the mixing, the transport, and to vaccinate the bulls. The key word is to get the bulls a good start into fattening. And this is achieved by a combination of several good practices, which are to reduce the transport. We have big data and modeling studies that showed that up to 1 gram of daily growth can be lost for each 10 kilometers more compared to optimize transportation duration. To reduce the mixing, and it was shown also in modeling studies that this could contribute to up to 30% less risk of BRD, and to vaccinate the bulls early before they leave the circular farm. It has been demonstrated that this early vaccination could contribute to higher growth compared to late vaccination. So the combination of these practices is the innovation because it is not frequently implemented yet, at least in France. And this innovation could help not only to avoid BRD, but also health problem, other health problem, and could contribute to improve performances. So I put the link where you can find all the information about the research project with all the big data analysis, but I also recommend strongly that you visit the BovINE Knowledge Hub, where you will find several other good practices in this area of fattening. And if you use the Google Translate option, you can read it in your own language. And I thank you very much for your attention, and I can answer any question.
Thank you, Patrice, for your presentation. I think there are no questions in the chat.
No, there was one question that was answered, so
we can continue then with the Menti. So Isabel, please, can you share your screen again for the Mentimeter? Thank you, Isabel. So next slide, please. You can also share the code again to enter to menti.com. Okay, next slide. So again, did you find the presented solutions useful for your context? Yes, somehow. Oh no. Yes. Okay. Encourage you to participate in Mentimeter. We will send all your comments to the speakers and improve our approach. So they are pretty welcome. So it's in yes. Now, okay. Okay, next slide. What did you think? What did you find most interesting from the presented solutions? Again, you can write here your comments. Carbon set monitoring system is titled. Anything else? Grouping of pools. Early vaccination. Scoring of curves seems simple and quick. Title puts to challenge studies practices. What worked well in the past may not be best now. The winning process. Title. Low stress winning. Censoring solutions. Possibility of implementing new solutions. It worked for others. It can work for me. We can move down into salad so we can read other comments down the screen. So we can see other comments in salad. Down. Isabel, can you move down? Oh, we cannot see. Okay, now, thank you. Thinking of different ideas to develop a system. On farm health scoring is started very well. No stress at winning in time, no stress winning process, simple on farm scoring methods, most grouping, vaccination before the operation of diseases, I suppose. We can use Isabel again, go down to see if there are new comments. Seems we have some problems to see. I don't know why. Okay, no. When engaged, we are scoring on mixing of cattle, practical solutions that can be applied on farm, combine good practices for bull's health, solutions that can be adapted to different contexts, BovINE monitoring system, BovINE for objective assessment on farm, variety of parameters that affect animal welfare. So thank you very much for all these comments. BovINE, okay. Contributions. I don't know if any of the speakers would like to add anything else. We have some minutes. Or even in the chat, if you want to ask anything to them. No? So we can then leave it here. And I think now is a lunch break. So I would like to thank you, all the speakers and you attendees for the participation in these interesting sessions. We will share all your comments on the Mentimeter and the chat to the speakers and send you the results. And then see you after lunchtime. I think that there's a comment. The travel risk debate must be carried out. Okay, it was a comment from Roberto. But well, so see you, I think at 2:15. I don't know if me for 80 want to add anything for the break. No, so thank you very much. Amif.
Yeah, sorry, just to remind people of the program for the afternoon, we'll be looking at more good practices and research innovations on production efficiency and meat quality. That's the focus this afternoon. And then we'll have that interactive session on defining sustainable beef, where we'll have presentations by Jerzy Wierzbicki from Poland, and also a presentation from the European Roundtable from Beef Sustainability to focus our thoughts on what sustainable beef is and the role of bovine in contributing to that. And our speaker from the European Roundtable from Beef Sustainability is Roseanne Davies. And Jerzy will be speaking as the Bovine Network Manager, but he's also chairman of the Copa Cogeca Working Party on Promotion Policy. So that's for the afternoon. Thanks for that.
Oleme siis Vilsi Anguses, mis on põhimõtteliselt pereettevõte. Tegutseme mahedalt ja kasvatame Aberdeen Anguse lihaveisid. Meie ettevõtmine sai alguse 9 aastat tagasi. 2 inimest, kes põllumajandusest praktiliselt mitte midagi ei teadnud.
Ja kellel oli natukene ka igav.
Otsustasid siis Tiina vanemate toel alustada põllumajandusega. Tiina isa oli varem kasvatanud vilja ja Tiina suguvõsa nad vanad talumaad olid tagasi saadud. Selleks hetkeks, kui meie alustasime, olid maad antud rendile ja oli see vana sofoosiaegne laut, mis oli ka üheks ajendiks, et võiks hakata loomakasvatusega tegelema, kuna laut oli nagu olemas. Tegime lauda korda ja 2012 ostsime siis 17 puhtatõulist Aberdeen Anguse lehmikut.
Meie algkari on Šoti päritolu, lihtsalt vahemärkusena.
Ja miks siis Aberdeen Angus, et väärindab hästi rohumaad. Ammed on meil talv läbi ainult puhtalt kuiva heina peal. Kõrvale saavad mineraali ja soola, mingit jõusööta ega silo ammed ei saa. Silo saavad siis noorloomad ja
ammed alates poegimisest.
Ja, et siis oleks piima. Kiiresti saime aru, et ainult hobikorras tegutsemine on väga suur pealemaksmine sellele üritusele ja siis otsustasime suurendada. Ja tänaseks hetkeks on siis meil ettevõttes 80 amme, plaan on suurendada 100 loomani ja majandame circa 300 hektaril, millest circa 100 on siis teraüli, ülejäänud on siis rohumaad.
Ja maid on meil tegelikult praegult isegi rohkem, kui selle loomakoguse peale vaja oleks. Aga vaadates tulevikku, siis maad on hinnas. Kõik, mis pakkumises on, tuleb ära võtta. Suvisest karjatamisest me kasutame portsjon karjatamist. Järjest sellel suvel me juba olid ikkagi igal karjal 10-12 erinevat karjamaad, kus siis väga kiiresti 3-4 päeva jooksul läksid loomad järjest järgmisele karjamaale. See tekitas väga mõnusa sideme endal loomadega. Loomadel oli alati värske hein ja tegelikult portsjon karjatamise puhul ka on vaja vähem hektareid looma kohta kui tavalise karjatamise puhul. Vasikate juurdekasvud peale karjamaadelt koju toomist, kui hakkame tegema esimesi kaalumisi, siis peale seda, kui me nüüd oleme hakanud kasutama sellist aeglast võõrutust karjatamisele ja karjamaade kvaliteedil oleme rohkem tähelepanu pööranud, siis on näha, et ilma igasuguse lisasöödata on võimalik saavutada pullikutel 1,3-1,4 kilo päevas juurdekasv. Lehmikut on natukene väiksem. Kas see on ka tõupõhine? Kindlasti natukene on, angused on head rohumaa väärindajad ja ilmselgelt nad ei vaja lisasööta.
Me oleme teinud varasematel aastatel ka selle, näiteks me talv läbi andsime noorpullidele siis natukene jõusööta juurde, circa 3 kilogrammi päevas. Talvel nad küll see juurdekasvud olid kiiremad, aga kui teha nagu statistikat, et kui nad sügisel siis pärast suvist karjamaaperioodi nagu realiseerida ja teha siis väike analüüs, siis tegelikult selle jõusööda andmine ei õigusta ennast. Korraliku karjamaa peal suvel nad saavad oma vajaliku kaalu kätte.
just hästi oluline on alati lugeda looma, et sa püüad nagu selle stressi olukorra ette ära lõigata, et ei tekiks stressi. Noh, samamoodi isegi karjatamise puhul, kuidas sa karju ajad, et kõik on nende jaoks tuttav, kindel, võõrutamine, pikaajaline. Et siis lõpuks, kui see vasikas enam seal aiast läbi ei mahu, siis isegi võib-olla emal on ka päris hea meel, et aitas küll.
Jah, eks need korralikud tulemused on iga pisiasi lood, et tervik kokku saada. Sööt, allapanu, valgus, vesi, mineraalid.
Käitumine loomadega.
Tingimused peavad olema head, et neid tulemusi saada.
Me oleme Puutsa talus. See on põline nii-öelda karjakasvatajate talu olnud viimased, ma arvan, võib-olla isegi 400 aastat. Aga mina võtsin selle talu üle oma vanaisalt. Ja need on siin minu lihaveised. Ja mul on nagu kõvasti vedanud, et see on siuke nii-öelda täiesti siuke looduslik keskkond, kus maaparandust pole toimunud, on looduslikud jõed ja ojad. Ja tegelikult